decision. In this regard, and pursuant to Standing Order 72A of the Senate Standing Orders, I direct the Office of the Clerk to advertise the vacancy in the membership of the board under paragraph 41E of the regulations. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 72B of the Senate Standing Orders, the clerk is required, upon the close of the application period, to transmit the names and all documents received from the interested persons to the relevant committee in this case. In this case, the Senate Standing Committee on Finance and Budget for shortlisting and vetting. Pursuant to Standing Order 72B of the Senate Standing Orders, the Committee on Finance and Budget is required to A, shortlist the candidates that meet the set criteria and cause the list to be published. B, facilitate public participation on the suitability of the shortlisted candidates. And C, conduct the vetting exercise and table its report before the Senate within 14 days of receipt of the names of interested persons from the clerk. 14. And finally, the committee shall be expected to table its report upon the completion of the vetting exercise in this House in accordance with Standing Order 72C3 of the Senate Standing Orders, taking into account the provisions of the regulations and the standing orders. I direct that the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget tables its report in the House on or before Thursday, the 2nd December 2021. I urge the committee to exercise utmost circumspection and to uphold the letter and spirit of the Constitution in the conduct of this exercise. I thank you, Senators. Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Order, members. Honorable Senators, please come to your seats. Honorable Senators, I have one message from the National Assembly. Passage of the Irrigation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 of 2021. Honorable Senators, I wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order 41.3 and 5, I have received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the passage by the Assembly of the Irrigation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2021. The message, which is dated Thursday, 21st October 2021, was received on 26th October 2021 while the Senate was on recess and was transmitted to all senators on 28th October 2021 pursuant to Standing Order number 41.5. Pursuant to the said standing order, I now report the message. Whereas the Irrigation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2021 was published by Kenya Gazette Supplement number 65 of 16th April 2021 as a bill concerning county governments in terms of Article 110(4) of the Constitution, seeking to amend the Irrigation Act 2019 to, among other things, expand the administration of irrigation matter to include management and regulation of irrigation matters, and whereas the National Assembly considered and passed the said bill on Thursday, 23rd September 2021, with amendments in the form attached hereto. Now, therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Article 110(4) of the Constitution and Standing Orders 41(1) and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the said bill to the Senate for consideration. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 157, which requires that a bill originating in the National Assembly be proceeded with by the Senate in the same manner as a bill introduced in the Senate by way of first reading in accordance with Standing Order 139, I direct that the Irrigation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2021, be read a first time tomorrow, Wednesday, 3rd November 2021. I thank you, Senators. Next order.
Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Honorable Senators, the first paper is from the Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate. Today, 2nd November 2021, report of the Auditor General on financial statement of Kisii County Executive Loans and Mortgage Fund for the year ended 30th June 2019. Number 2, report of Auditor General on financial statement of Kisii Demonstration Farm Fund for the year ended 30th June 2019. Number 3, report of Auditor General on financial statement of the Kapenguria Water and Sewage Services Company Limited for the year ended 30th June 2019. 3, report of Auditor General on the financial statement of Laikipia County Assembly Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund for the year ended 30th June. Finally, Irrigation General Regulation Legal Notice number 199 of 2021. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator. The next paper will be laid by Senator Sakaja Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, the 2nd day of November of 2021. Madam Speaker, this is a very important paper. The report of the Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on the status of labor migration to the Middle East and proposed policy interventions. Madam Speaker, as I've stated, and I wish senators would listen, this paper will also come by way of notice of motion because the Senate will need to make a resolution on this paper. So if you could indulge me kindly, as I lay the report, just to list the actions that the Labour Committee is asking the Senate to take, and that then can be debated at a later date, Madam Speaker.
Senator, just lay. We will allow you to move your motion.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a report, and we will allow him to give a notice of motion. When we reach there, honorable senators, don't converse across the table. I think he has got it right now. He has laid, and then when we reach the right time, he will move the motion and add one or two statements that he wanted to add. Only at the point of notice, but now you are laying. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Now, Senator Sakaja. Before that, Senator Musurube, did you have anything before the?
When we were new in this parliament, we were taken through orientation, which was very good because it set the pace on how we need to behave in the House. Honorable Speaker, I'm concerned that I've seen on 2 occasions a youngest senator in the House, Senator Isaac, has been crisscrossing from this side of the House to the other side of the House without observing the rules. And Honorable Speaker, probably it needs to come from you that this rule needs to be observed when you're getting into the Senate. There's a rule you bow. When you're crossing over, there's something you do, and so on and so forth. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Musurube. Unfortunately, I didn't see. I would have helped you deal with that case. Senator Morgan.
Madam Speaker, in the same spirit, am I in order, Madam Speaker, to request your office to give directions to the clerk and the staff to do thorough orientation for Senator Isaac Ngugi, Madam Speaker, and to request Senator Isaac Ngugi to take a break from his recent active political activities and take this lesson seriously, Madam Speaker, to facilitate his participation in the House.
Senator Morgan, I said I didn't see Senator Ngugi crisscrossing. So because he was not caught by the eye of the Speaker, and none of you alerted me at the time, I will leave it at that. But thank you, Senator Musurube, because I think her hand came a little earlier. Maybe she would have saved us if we had seen it earlier. But Senator Ngugi, we will not ask you to respond to that one. We are asking you that there are some, the standing orders are very clear. Senator Mutula, you still want to pursue that? I don't think any of you, I think all of you were like the Speaker, you didn't see. It is Senator Musurube who saw.
In the same spirit, Senator Ngugi is not a young senator. He's not a young senator. He's a distinguished senator. So in the same spirit, Senator Musurube should refer Senator Ngugi with his right titles. The only leeway is where you have the distinguished nephews and others. I think that's where we have given some distinction.
Honorable Senators, next order is notices of motion. Senator Sakaja Johnson, please come forward.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to ask that you ask my colleagues to consult in lower tones. Madam Speaker, I rise to give the following notice of motion. That the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on the status of labor migration to the Middle East and proposed policy interventions laid on the table of the Senate today, 2nd November 2021. Madam Speaker, thank you for your indulgence for me just to give a brief summary of this. It's a very, very important motion that we're going to debate in the House. Madam Speaker, I sought your indulgence and you said I can give a summary at this point.
What I would like to help you, Senator Sakaja, before your angle stops you, because he's determined to do that, is that we are going to list your paper tomorrow, and you will take as much time as you wish.
Madam Speaker,
yes.
When I made the request to you, I understand, just allow me to make my point. I understand the standing orders and the provisions. Normally, when committees give their reports, they are given leeway to sometimes just briefly summarize, especially if it's a report on a petition.
No, we want to give you the best. We want to give you the best time tomorrow.
So you know you had said yes. That is why I was going ahead. But I stand guided. I'll do it tomorrow. I can even do it any other day.
Tomorrow,
but I would urge senators to take this opportunity to go through this report.
Yes.
It has far-reaching recommendations. Yeah. Madam Speaker, ordinarily, we would just table a report and leave it. But we want a resolution of the Senate because of the far-reaching interventions that you're proposing. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yeah, I think let's allow it to be the order paper tomorrow. So I order the clerks because we are informed that it is very, very urgent, and the delegation would like to dispense of that statement tomorrow. So yes, this was accepted in the Business Committee, and that's why I allowed it to come. So my yes was, I got information from the House Business Committee that it's very urgent, and tomorrow it will be pursued. Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Honorable Senators, statements, we have statements under Standing Order 48-1. The first one is by Senator Beatrice Kwamboka. She is not in. The second one is by Senator Isaac Nguki Kidua.
Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 48-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on youth and special group access to government procurement opportunities, what we call AGPO, program as provided for in Article 55 of the Constitution of Kenya and the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act of 2015. In the statement, the committee should, number 1, provide a breakdown of the registered number of micro and small enterprises owned by the youth, women, and persons with disabilities who participated in government tendering process in the last 24 months, stating the value and the number of enterprises which were successful at both the national and county governments. Number 2, outline the barriers and challenges faced by the AGPO special groups at both the national and county governments which prevent them from participating effectively in government contracting opportunities, stating the measures put in place to ensure these barriers and challenges are minimized from full access to government contracting opportunities. Number 3, outline the awareness and sensitization measures on government procurement opportunities, including education and training in place, and state how and when these measures were deployed in the last 24 months. Number 4, state the frequency with which Public Procurement Regulatory Authority, what we call PPO, maintains, updates, and posts it in the website or dedicated portal, the register of all small and micro enterprises and disadvantaged groups qualified to benefit from the scheme, outlining how the authority uses this information in ensuring that the AGPO special groups gain access to government contracting opportunities. And number 5, give the list of counties which submit to PPOA the details of the AGPO register special groups which participate in the public procurement contracting on quarterly basis.
Thank you, Senator. The next statement, Honorable Senators, that statement, I think he addressed the Committee of Labor and Social Welfare, but after discussions in the House Business Committee, it is very clear that this will be committed to the Committee on National Cohesion, Equal Opportunity and Regional Integration. So it's ordered. The next statement is from Senator Mutula, Jr.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker. Madam Speaker, I seek a statement on the directive by the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Sports, Culture, Heritage, to the Sports Registrar to undertake an inspection of Football Kenya Federation and disbursements and administration of funds from the Sports, Art and Social Development Fund during the financial year 2019-2020 to date. Madam Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 48.1, I rise to seek a statement from the Chairperson of the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare regarding the directive by the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Sports and Culture and Heritage to the Sports Registrar to undertake an impromptu inspection on Football Kenya, FKF. In the statement, the Chairperson should state the following. 1, the provisions of the Sports Act that led to the impromptu decision by the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Sports, Culture and Heritage to direct inspection of Football Kenya for a period of not less than 2 weeks from 18th October 2021 and to a report to be submitted to her on or before 2nd November 2021. 2, state the reasons why Football Kenya, a statutory body under the law, was not issued with a notice of inspection citing nature of the reasons of inspection, the documents required, material or evidence relied upon by the Cabinet Secretary in making the said decision. 3, state whether the Cabinet Secretary is aware that the said inspection team was largely composed of officers from the Criminal Investigation Department and National Intelligence Service. 4, explain the reasons the Chairperson of the said committee sought to remove the documents from the Football Kenya Federation offices for the period 1st July 2014 to date contrary to Section 52(3) of the Sports Act. 5, explain the reasons why the Cabinet Secretary usurped the powers of the Registrar to conduct the alleged inspection. 6, confirm whether the Cabinet Secretary is aware that the team of inspectors she appointed purported to conduct an inspection for 2 days, which presupposes that there was already a decision made prior to the inspection. 7, state the total amount of money disbursed to the Sports, Art and Social Development Fund by the government and donor partners for the financial year 2019-2020 to date and table a detailed schedule on the disbursement. 8, inform the Senate on the amounts of funds approved by the Commissioner of Sports and the Funds Oversight Board for the disbursements of various sports federations, including FKF, for the financial year 2019-2020 to date. 9, provide a detailed breakdown and evidence of funds disbursed to various sports federations, stating the amount disbursed to each federation. 10, provide the particulars of the over 111 million spent by the fund on behalf of various sports federations, an appropriate schedule on the amounts and federations on whose behalf the said funds were spent, stating the legal basis for the expenditure. 11, make available the details of the disbursements made directly or through sports federations to support the national teams to participate in various competitions in the financial year 2019-2020 to date, including particulars of payments made by way of mobile money transfer or through bank accounts. Last, table details of the sums purportedly advanced to the national teams amounting to 433,500,000 on 27th of October, while the Football Kenya Federation records indicate that the money sent to them between 2019 to 2021 is 355,512,205. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Allow me to say this, Madam Speaker, that the importance of this statement, Madam Speaker, in one sentence, is that the Cabinet Secretary intends to disband FKF based on this alleged inspection, and therefore may lead to a ban of football in Kenya. This statement, therefore, Madam Speaker, is very urgent. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Honorable Senators, I know why Senator Jeriat is saying please, because I'm seeing about 6-7 people who are interested in this one. And all of you are footballers. Except Senator Murkomen became an athlete the other day. Okay, Senator Murkomen, you're the first one.
Madam Speaker, for the record, I'm the captain of the Senate football team and the vice captain of the football team in Bunge. And Madam Speaker, this is a sector that I take so seriously, especially the sports sector. We have a problem in the Ministry of Sports and the management of sports in this country. We have a problem in terms of Kenya, where it places sports. Even though we pay lip service to our message that we want to sort problems affecting youth, we put little resources on the sports sector. And the statement that Senator Mutula Kilonzo has come with, we would like to know how much of the sports fund is being used for sports. Because we are told, Madam Speaker, that billions of money that was meant for sports are now being used in universal health care instead of being used where we deserve. Now, we are told that the ministry wants to investigate FKF and particularly single out only FKF, but they cannot demonstrate to the Republic of Kenya how much resources have been put to FKF. We cannot ask to receive that which we have not invested, Madam Speaker. And I want to request, look at the question of banning of stadium. Look at the issue, Madam Speaker, of building of extra 9 stadia in this country. Look at the problem of Kamarin Stadium, Madam Speaker, where you know very well that more than 3,000 athletes are training around Iten. And at the moment, there was a contractor given a little amount of money to start the project. Now the place is dilapidated. The athletes cannot train, footballers cannot play there. Then, instead of focusing in providing the infrastructure for supporting sports, now the Cabinet Secretary wants to interfere with football in this country in a manner that if we are going to be banned, most of our youth, Madam Speaker, especially from Nairobi County, from most of the western counties, Madam Speaker, are going to lose the opportunity to participate in a very important sport, which is the most popular sport in the Republic of Kenya. I hope Senator Sakaja, and I don't know why he has gone somewhere, or he's here. I thought you were running away from responsibility. You always don't run away from responsibility. This is an area, Madam Speaker, that Senator Sakaja and his committee must not just give us a comprehensive report, but must give us a snapshot, a summary within the next 1 week to avert the crisis that will going to be devil this country. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Honorable Senators, I'm sorry I didn't give the limitation of time, but let's take not more than 3 minutes, please, so that everybody gets a chance. Senator Watangula Moses Masika.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, how times change. When Senator Murkomen was majority leader, he would never allow us to question where the stadiums were. But now I'm happy that he's seen the light and he knows there are no stadiums. Madam Speaker, this question is very important. And I want to urge my distinguished nephew that you broaden the scope of inquiry, not only on football, but sports in this country. Madam Speaker, FKF is now limping. Instead of getting support we are embarking on punitive and malicious investigation against it. I would want us to be told how much money has been set aside for football in this country, how much is going to FKF, and how much is going to the grassroots branches of FKF. Because we have a lot of teams that are playing second-tier football out there, Madam Speaker, that are really struggling when there is a budget line for support of football. In addition to that, Madam Speaker, I want to encourage my distinguished nephew, the Senator for Nairobi, that also to look at the management of athletics and explain to this country and this House why mandarins of athletics fly to Olympics first class when our gold-winning athletes go on economy class and are given small pittance and put in dormitories when non-runners are staying in five-star hotels. When other countries, when they take the athletes to the Olympics, to the Commonwealth, World Games, they are treated like national heroes, Madam Speaker. Our athletes here bring fame and glory to this country through personal initiative. No support from the state. And we want to have a blueprint and a policy statement coming from a committee that is chaired by a very illustrious nephew to yours truly, that these things must change. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Jeriet Aaron Bukurui.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when Senator Mutula Kilonzo was concluding, he made a very important request which will require your adjudication. When you appear before a judge sometimes, Madam Speaker, and you are sure that between the time of determination of the case or whatever matter you are with before him or her, you are likely to suffer a particular prejudice, you raise it. Senator Mutula Kilonzo brought to your attention that the CS for Sports is about to make such a disastrous decision that will affect future generations of this country. If she goes ahead and does the act of suspending FKF or trying to illegally remove from office those officials, we are likely to be banned. And in this COVID season, Madam Speaker, you need to look at what has happened to our country known as Chad, who have been banned from any football-related activity, including their international players who play in other leagues not being recognized just because of such reckless decisions. CS Amina may be good in other things, but taking her to sports was the worst decision ever. I know this from personal experience, Madam Speaker, because 2 months ago when I brought before this House a bill on sports, she had the audacity to write to the Speaker of this House saying that Parliament should stop this legislative work until she brings a bill before this House. What audacity is that, Madam Speaker? Therefore, we need to take a determination on a very important issue. That, Madam Speaker, can you guide that minister, first of all, be stopped from making any decision on FKF, and second and most importantly, be brought here within 48 hours. If she's in the country, what is so difficult for a minister to appear before the Republic of Kenya? Because this is Senate sitting on behalf of the people of Kenya. Madam Speaker, we plead on behalf of all football-loving Kenyans. I know there is a debate about the success or failure under the current regime, but you see, two wrongs can never make a right. We must begin by having a serious conversation like adults. The things that Senator Moses Wetangula is mentioning, why are you, before CS Amina can ask for results from FKF, what are the investments that he has put into that institution? It cannot be the paltry figures that you are being told and you expect results. Therefore, Madam Speaker, we plead with you, make a determination on the final request that Senator Mutula Kilonzo has made. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. What you are asking actually is in the hands of Senator Sakaja. The minute we hand over the question to the committee, he will have the powers to do what you are asking for. So it is not really the Speaker to do it, it is the committee, and they have done it very successfully in other committees. Yeah. Senator Wambua Enokio.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on this matter, I speak for and on behalf of football players in Gitui County, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it's actually a shame what the Minister for Sports is attempting to do. A shame because, Madam Speaker, our ministry and collectively the government has either been unable or unwilling to create jobs to engage young people. And what young people have resorted to do, Madam Speaker, all over the country, is that they have coalesced into football clubs and groups, and they are playing soccer as the only engagement that they have at the moment, Madam Speaker. The least that we should expect from the Ministry of Sports at such a time as this is support from the very top to the bottom, Madam Speaker. That, Madam Speaker, today we are dealing with a minister who is contemplating banning FKF at a time that young people, Madam Speaker, are engaging themselves in active sporting activities is a shame of serious magnitude. Madam Speaker, I want to say this, that instead of the minister asking investigative agencies to look into the operations of FKF, she should do two things. One, first, she should do proper, adequate funding for the operations of FKF. Secondly, Madam Speaker, she should invite these investigative agencies to our ministry and find out how money in that ministry is being used. Because instead of the money going to the expansion of sporting activities, and especially the support of football, that money is being pilfered left, right, and center. Madam Speaker, I say, as my friend Senator Cherry has said, the minister must not be allowed to take that step of banning FKF. She should never be allowed to do that. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Inima Gertrude Musurube.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support this statement. And I thank Senator Mutula for coming up with the statement. And Honorable Speaker, just to even speak on behalf of the youths in Lugari constituency, this decision of disbanding FKF is not well thought, Honorable Speaker. And I want to give an example of what I went through when I was holding the Musuruve tournament, that is for identifying talent among youths and nurturing talent. It is going on very smoothly just because FKF is there. FKF have their own rules. And so the youths ensure that they are adhering to the rules so that any youths that become hooligans are actually not allowed to play, Honorable Speaker. There's a big role that FKF is playing, and there is need for us to ensure that FKF is not disbanded, but an investigation, if an investigation is done, let those who are mismanaging FKF be brought to account, but it should not be disbanded just because of the big role that they play. I have seen it when I'm holding my tournament, and the FKF is playing a very big role because it brings even referees who are neutral, it brings even the chairman who are neutral, and on a neutral ground, then players are able to play well without any intimidation and without any favorism, Honorable Speaker. So my thinking is that FKF should not be disbanded, and sports in this country should be supported, Honorable Speaker, especially the youths in Lugari. I've seen them very active during my tournament, and it is something that is commendable. So the government should bring in more money and support for football, because even women are playing football, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Senator Cherargei Samson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Where I come from, Nandi County is the source of champions. We only depend on sports and agriculture, which is on its deathbed. As you are aware, fertilizer now is 5,000 Kenyan shillings, so we rely only on sports. Madam Speaker, it is very unfortunate, and I have said before, that CS Amina Mohammed and senior ministry officials must resign for presiding over mega corruption. Madam Speaker, can you believe in 40 billion sports fund? One of the items that the Ministry of Sports have allocated is football. They have allocated at 1 million. For football means mchezo wa mbao, 31 million. Madam Speaker, another item in sports fund, They have allocated 80 million is kung fu. The ones 81 million, Madam Speaker, and yet things like rugby, athletics, football has not been funded, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the sports stadia in Kisumu, the one in Kirigiti and Kiambu, and the one in Wanguru in Kirinyaga have cobbled 23 billion. But there is nothing to show for it. FIFA has not even met the standards, Madam Speaker. So what we are saying, in short, in the interest of the sports, and even avoid banning FKF, the CS in charge of sports and senior government officials must be shown the door, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, finally, you remember last week or 2 weeks ago or 1 month ago, I brought statement over the shambolic issues of Tokyo, the Olympics, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the CS has not even have the audacity to appear before Senator Sakaja's, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, and finally, Senator Murkomen came to the Agnes Tirop funeral. Even the CS of sports did not attend the funeral of Agnes Tirop, despite being the champion of this republic, Madam Speaker. Even covering our coffin with the Kenyan flag was not done, Madam Speaker. Even bringing even 10 shillings or even government support to support the funeral of our fallen heroine, Madam Speaker, Agnes Tirop, the Ministry of Sports did not participate. So, Madam Speaker, in short, the risk of banning FKF will put us into serious problems with FIFA, Madam Speaker. And you are aware, when you interfere with sports, it means we risk banning from FIFA. What does it translate? Many young Kenyans who are hustlers, who hustle through football, Madam Speaker, will not have an opportunity to be able to play in the local league and have enough an opportunity. Madam Speaker, I request, because there is a statement of athletics before Senator Sakaja's committee that I brought on the shambolic Tokyo Olympics. Madam Speaker, finally, you saw under 20 champions. Even the celebrated Ferdinand Omunyala, because the NOC officials and ministry officials were busy taking selfies, they could not allow the coach of Ferdinand Omanyala into the stadium because the list of NOC and other officials were busy in the stadium, Madam Speaker. So I want to challenge, Madam Speaker, that Amina Mohammed, the CS and senior officials, be fired by the President Uhuru Kenyatta and be given lighter duties. I think that is why she can do better there. But we must agree that FKF should not be banned. He should tell the country how much money he has invested in football, in athletics, in rugby, and in volleyball to give a better results in this republic. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Imana Malaki. Charles.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the time to also support this particular statement. Madam Speaker, as other honorable members have said, athletics in this country is very important, especially for young, especially because of the fact that they don't have jobs. They need something to expend their energies so that they do not create havoc. So to try to avoid athletics or to avoid games in the country is tantamount to just leaving those particular young people without any avenue for their strength and for their activities. Madam Speaker, I also want to speak on another aspect, the aspect of tribalism. I want to bring this to the attention of the House and to the attention of the country and to the attention of the trainers, wherever they may be. There is a bit of tribalism that is creeping into athletics, especially when it comes to selecting athletes that go to compete outside the country. Like this time, competing out in Tokyo in the Olympics. In training camps, if a particular athlete qualifies and they are deemed from a particular tribe that is not very liked, they are left out. That is horrible. That kind of tribalism should not creep into athletics. I'm talking about a situation where a Turkana athlete qualified to go and run in the Olympics, and that athlete was replaced by another one of a different tribe, of a favorable tribe, of a tribe that is supposed to be the only runners in this country. Madam Speaker, it's not true to say that a particular tribe or some tribes in this country are the only runners. I can tell you that Turkana people can run down a cow, can run as fast as everybody else, but to kind of always think that somebody, like our young honorable member here says, somebody from a particular region is the only runner that could be is fallacious. It's not true. So let's look at the situation and try to avoid selecting people based on tribal basis. People who have worked so hard, people who have run so hard, people who qualify like others should be given that particular chance to go and show their talents in the world. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Langat, Christopher Andrew.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker, for also giving me this chance to support this particular statement. And I want to say that sports in this particular country has remained to become very important as a source of income for some people in this country, coupled up with the fact that there is a lot of shortage of employment in this country, and most of our youths and even other people engage themselves in sports for livelihood, for their economic livelihood. And I want to say also that sports in these countries should be encouraged. It is a source of great entertainment, knowing very well that we are in a country full of a lot of challenges, and most of the people you have heard, Madam Speaker, engage themselves in very weird activities. You have seen families murdering one another because of stresses, but if you check what is controlling our youths and giving them some work to do is sports, is games and sports. So I want to say that instead of this particular sector being encouraged, it is very sad to hear that the Cabinet Secretary, Amina Mohammed, whom I respect a lot because she was the CS Education when I was the chair, and she used to do well. I'm shocked that she has engaged herself into such a very disheartening decision. So I want to say, banning Football Kenya Federation is unwelcomed at this particular moment. And would like to ask even the committee that will take over this particular issue to take it seriously and make sure that Amina appear before this House, the committee of the whole, so that she explains so many things that are challenging things to do with sports in this particular country. In fact, most of the stadiums that are supposed to be upgraded up to today, they are so devastated, they are very demotivating, and other things to mention. So I want to say that I support this particular statement, and I would like to ask most of the CSS to be consulting so that they get proper information instead of making street statements that affect Kenyans very seriously. These are very important statements. I want to congratulate the senator who brought it before all of us, and I want to say that it should be supported by all of us. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Abdul Mohammed Haji.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also stand to support the statement, but I'm a little taken aback by the comments of most of the senators who have very strongly come against the CS. And I believe the intention of the Ministry of Sports was to audit FKF in terms of the fundings they've been receiving. And I fail to understand why probably the individuals who are at FKF are against the audit. And instead of asking for the resignation of the CS, maybe we should have gone to the extent of advising the CS that she can tackle FKF based on the rules and regulations of FIFA, so that we don't, as a country, fall foul to the operations with FIFA. But what we've seen is that FKF since the formation of FKF and the members that have been there, they've been given much free hand in trying to improve the situation of football. But we've seen that the national team is still not performing very well. And we don't know if we can put the blame on FKF or the Ministry of Sports, but something somewhere is wrong, and we need to investigate that. Because sports is very important for the country, and it's very important to the youth. What happens is that if individuals or members stay too long in an organization, then they feel entrenched and they feel like they own the institution of FKF. If we look back at the history of FIFA, we see that the former president of FIFA, Sepp Blatter, who had stayed for too long at FIFA to the point that he felt like he ran it like his own organization. But towards the end, when proper investigations were done in FIFA, I think, I stand to be corrected, but as far as I can remember, Sepp Blatter left a very dishonorable gentleman from FIFA organization. So it is important that organizations like FKF are audited. It is important that the Ministry of Sports questions the operations of FKF and questions the failure of FKF in improving football in the Republic of Kenya. And we are waiting for the day Harambee Stars will perform to make this country very proud in Africa and the world very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. Finally, Senator Sakaja Johnson, other. You can also commit yourself as the chair of the committee.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Speaker. As you've stated, as chair of this committee, I take note of the statement that has been requested and the sentiments of members and the urgency in this issue. Indeed, I must commit that my committee is very, takes this matter very seriously. Just this past week, we've been touring some of our stadia. We're in Bomet, we're in Kericho, Green Stadium. We looked at what's happening, but we're really concerned about all the federations, Madam Chair. So without being prejudicial as to the action we will take, I want to state that, first of all, in terms of, from a policy point of view, I think audits are welcome everywhere, but they should not be used as a tool for anything else. All federations must be audited when the resources come from the national government or the section that comes from the national government. But as Speaker, what we'll commit to do, and I would urge you to give us, the strength of your chair, is, Madam Speaker, we'll immediately send out the letter so that any action, because, Madam Speaker, any action that can be taken, which would be, can prevent Kenya or rather can cause a ban, cannot be taken by an individual. That action cannot be taken by a cabinet secretary or by a permanent or a principal secretary. So we're asking that before, and without preempting any actions by the cabinet secretary, before we sit down with this CS, and we're going to invite the CS urgently for Thursday, to come to the committee. I know they'll last for 7 days, but with your direction, they can come on Thursday, that between now and then, they need to put brakes on whatever action they want to take. We'll be very objective. We have the law. We know what the Sports Act says. We know all the soccer regulations in FIFA. I understand them very well. But as Speaker, I've been the patron of the FC Leopards for many years. Even there, we have challenges. But despite that, I think my committee is competent enough to handle this matter as soon as possible. And just to inform senators that in addition to this matter, we actually had planned, and Senator Aaron Cheriot knows because he has one of the bills we're discussing, an entire retreat with all the key federations, soccer, rugby, volleyball, basketball, athletics, to look at the wide range of issues that they're going through. So, Madam Speaker, we'll send out the letter immediately and ask for the audience of the Cabinet Secretary, the Sports Registrar, the Principal Secretary, and we hope that you can help us secure that because it's an urgent matter. If we wait for a week or two, some action that is potentially, and we're not imputing improper motive on anyone, but action that could potentially make our entire country miss out on being part of FIFA can be taken. And that action is what I'm saying should not at any one point be taken by an individual. It must be taken by the representatives of the people after hearing all the issues when we meet on Thursday. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Senator Sakaja, Chairman of the committee. So the statement stands committed to the Committee of Labor and Social Welfare. We are happy to hear you are committed to meet the CS on Thursday, and Thursday it will be. So a letter will go in your support, which will call on the minister also not to do anything because of the evidence before this Senate, which have been tabled here today. I would like to go for another statement that is related, so that, I don't expect any contributions on this one, by Senator Aaron Cheruyot.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to request a statement pursuant to Standing Order number 48-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on the state of studies in our country. In the statement, Madam Speaker, the committee should, 1, state the location of all government-funded stadiums and the status of compliance of the said stadiums with standards set by the international sporting bodies for holding international sporting events. Number 2, explain why constructions work being undertaken in stadiums in Kirinyaga, Kisii, Kakamega, and Uasin Gishu counties are on course while other counties continue to stall. Number 3, state whether the stadia under construction meet International Association of Athletics Federation, IAAF, and International Federation of Football Association, FIFA, and CAF status to hold sporting events. 4, outline measures, if any, that the Ministry of Sports has undertaken in upgrading the Nyayo and Kasarani International Stadium to international standards following the ban by FIFA on failure to meet the minimum CAF standard requirements. Finally, Madam Speaker, inform the Senate whether there are any other stadia that have recently been inspected and failed to meet IAAF and FIFA certification. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senators. I really wanted us to avoid, because we have taken a very long time in the previous one. But if you can promise me 2 minutes, I'll give to 3, Senator Mutula, Senator Inima, and Senator Milgo. Only those 3, 2 minutes each.
Madam Speaker, this statement is serious and it's unfortunate. Senator Sakaja and I support the AFC Leopards team. And while we were growing up, there were international matches, 1986 at St. Kotoko. Madam Speaker, the current status of the country, and we have never been at this state, I think, since independence. We cannot hold an international match in any stadium in the country. Madam Speaker, I requested for a statement on Water Stadium. Water Stadium was supposed to be completed in 2018. Up to now, they are still arguing about the growing of grass. They're still arguing about the irrigation. They're still arguing about the pavilion. Meanwhile, 200 million has already been spent through the sports fund. 600 million has been given to Jamhuri Sports Ground. Another 600 million has been given to the so-called International Stadium in Kirinyaga, and many others. Yet, Madam Speaker, you cannot play a friendly soccer tournament in any of these stadiums. It's an unfortunate situation, and an urgent investigation in the use of sports funds and why they are spending so much money and you cannot even have a friendly match between toddlers is an unfortunate situation where this country has found itself to, where young people have used sports to become millionaires. We have used, through the Ministry of Sports, we have impeded the growth of a sport where Kenyans used to market themselves out there in the world. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Inima, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I support this statement by Senator Cheruyot. And Honorable Speaker, studies are very important just because of ensuring that we are identifying, the talents of youth, we are nurturing also their talents, and we are ensuring that they make a living, Honorable Speaker. It is really unthinkable that even at constituency level. When the youths want to play, they have to look for a school compound so that they can play in the school field. There's need for the government to ensure, even county government to ensure that there is stadiums, so there are stadiums in each and every county, Honorable Speaker. And even the stadiums need to be all-inclusive. Honorable Speaker, in some stadia, even climbing, the first step off the ground, it's a harrowing experience even for persons with disabilities. I've had instances when I have to be lifted to reach even the first step of the stadia. And also, Honorable Speaker, some of these stadiums also that are in existence do not have provision for accessibility for persons with disabilities. You'll find that some of them do not have ramps, and some that have ramps, you'll find that the ramps are too steep, that they're not even okay for persons with disabilities. So I hope that this issue of stadia will be taken seriously, and also in Lugari, those youths in Lugari should be able also to play in a stadium, Honorable Speaker, because they're talented, they don't want to be idle, and they want to be supported by this government, Honorable Speaker. This is something that should not be taken lightly, Honorable Speaker. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Senator Milgo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also rise to support this statement, and I want to say that stadiums actually plays a critical role, not only to assist the youths, but even the adults, because exercises are very critical in ensuring our health. Madam Speaker, when it comes to stadiums have become cash cows. And as I'm standing right now, there are stadiums, even in my own county, that was started by the first county government, and to date, it has been calving money. Madam Speaker, that goes to show us that these stadiums, while we lack stadiums, there are also avenues through which we lose a lot of money in this country in the name of actually finishing up the stadiums, but then we find that year in and year out, we lose a lot of money. Madam Speaker, I think this country has lost a lot of chances to even present or to host certain activities because of a lack of standard stadiums, because of not taking issues of stadiums very seriously. And I think this statement, that committee, which is coming to my own committee, must actually look at this as a matter of urgency and put forward the concerns so that this country will be able to ensure that we have serious stadiums, because I'm sure if there was a serious scheme to come to this country, we are likely to go even as far as Uganda to host, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you. Oh, finally, I see Senator Mudama. Are you 2 minutes, please?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to support this statement by Senator. I support and say that even the stadiums in the constituency level must be completed, like one in Matungulu constituency in a place called Kitui, which was begun 3 to 4 years ago, and it's still not finished, and many others, and not only in Machakos County, but also in many other counties in Kenya. And so our youth must have a good place to be able to play their football. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Chair of the committee, can you commit yourself, although we know you have already started, so 1 minute only.
Madam Speaker, once we deal with the FKF issue, I want to separate the two, because this is a bigger discussion around hundreds of millions that were put in. We saw Nyayo Stadium being opened the other day, Kasarani being opened. Here today, if we are to have an international fixture, we have to go to Rwanda. That is a very serious question that must be answered. You know, international stadium is not, I saw during Mashujaa Day, in Kirinyaga, they wrote Wanguru International Stadium. It's not international because you read the name international. There are certain standards that are put in place by these international bodies, IAAF, FIFA, etc. If we've put in hundreds of millions at that level by the national government, yet we have failed. And that's why I like the last question, whether the other stadiums that have been inspected and failed to meet the standards, we need to be told why. So I'll ask for 2 weeks, and we should be able to deal with this on this matter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So it stands committed, the Committee of Labor and Social Welfare. The last statement by Senator Jeruyot. Your second statement, please read it. We are not going to accept contributions now, Honorable Senators, because it's only 10 minutes
Thank
to
you.
the end of statement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is a request for a statement on the power purchase agreements between Kenya Power and Lighting Company and independent power producers. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 48-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Energy on the power purchase agreements between KPLC and independent power producers. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state the number of companies that Kenya Power has signed power purchasing contractual agreements with. 2, give the dates when the power purchasing agreements were signed and when these agreements come to an end. 3, state the cost at which Kenya Power procured electrical power from each of these IPPs from KenGen in the last 24 months, and stating the selection criteria used. Number 4, state the loading policy used in determining consumption times from each of the IPPs. 5, state targeted interventions the company has employed in mitigating the rising cost of electricity to household businesses, factories, and other consumers in the country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Gerard Gay.
Mambo ya Kericho. Madam Speaker, I have one statement here. Request for statements tenders by the National Treasury under specially permitted procurement procedure. Madam Speaker, I raise pursuant to Standing Order 48-1 to seek for a statement from the National Standing Committee on Finance and Budget regarding award of tenders by the National Treasury under the specially permitted procurement procedure. In the statement, the committee should address the following. 1, appraise the Senate on the number and the nature of tenders for government projects awarded for the financial years 2019-2020 and 2020-2021 under specially permitted procurement procedure. Number 2, inform the Senate on the total amount of money committed to tenders awarded under the specially permitted procurement procedure for the 2 financial years. Number 3, explain how the awarded tenders qualify as tenders in the public interest or interest of national security as contained in the procurement law in order for them to have been awarded under this special category. Madam Speaker, number 4, state the role of state security agencies and organs in the award of such tenders. And finally, Madam Speaker, list, if any, tenders for the government projects under private-public partnership, like LAPSET, that have been awarded through this restricted tendering method for the financial years 2019-2020 and 2020-2021 financial years. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The next statement is by Senator Enoch Wambua. You have 2 statements. Please start with the electoral boundaries one, and we end with the student unrest, just in case I have 2 minutes to allow.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I request that you give direction to the Senator Kajwang to stop the Kamkunji and then focus on this. It's an important statement.
Honorable Senator Kajwang, why are you attracting a lot of attention today?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 48-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights regarding the status of preparedness for the upcoming general elections by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. In the statement, the committee should, 1, outline the measures that the IEBC has put in place to guarantee a free, fair, and credible general election in 2022. 2, state the firm that has been awarded the tender to print ballot papers and whether due process was followed, including due diligence, before awarding the tender. 3, explain circumstances that led to the IEBC signing a contract on electoral data collection and storage with a French firm without a clause on the right of access or transfer of data after the elections. Number 4, state the amount of money the IEBC has been paying to the contracted firm to access data for each by-election that has taken place after the 2017 general election. And 5, enumerate individuals and or organizations, if any, that have the rights of access to the Kenyan electoral data. I thank you, Madam Speaker, and with your permission, I will move on to the second statement.
Yes, let me move to the next statement because I want to allow the next statement. We have only 5 minutes and I wanted to give contributions that touch on this student unrest because I hear a number of you would like to say something. So yes, next statement, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You have given direction, but Madam Speaker, I will be asking if they may want to comment on 2 of the statements.
No,
that will be fine. So, Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 48.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education regarding the ongoing student unrest and rising cases of fires in secondary schools across the country. In the statement, the committee should, 1, investigate the factors behind the ongoing unrest in schools, such as Buruburu girls, Chavakali boys, Moi girls in Marsabit, and Singalame boys, among other secondary schools, that have led to dormitories being set on fire, causing injuries to numerous students, including 1 reported death. 2, outline the proactive measures the Ministry of Education has put in place, if any, to ensure a smooth learning environment in our schools. And 3, state the measures the ministry will put in place to ease the pressure on learners occasioned by the prolonged school calendar aimed at recovering time that was lost last year when schools were shut due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Olekina, are you ready? I know you're the first one, but I thought you needed time to read.
Madam Speaker, I thank you. Madam Speaker, I wanted to comment on the first statement, but I'm also now inclined to make some brief comment on the second statement, which I fully support. On the first statement, Madam Speaker, briefly.
Before I forget, please, I want to give everybody, you can see we have 5 people, and our time is up. So please try and use 2 max 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes maximum.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the first statement, which was read by Senator Wambua on the issue of IEBC, Madam Speaker, I would like also to know whether it is true, the 411 that we saw today, that IEBC intend to stop the voter registration exercise despite a court order citing lack of budgetary allocation. Madam Speaker, if we are going to continue behaving like a banana republic where we don't respect the court orders, then I don't know where we're going to go as a country. So it will be important when the committee is looking on these issues to also expound further on whether the IEBC has decided to disregard the court order and continue and stop the voter registration exercise. Madam Speaker, also, it will also be important to get more details on this purported tender allocation to a French company. In the last election, we had challenges trying to access our data. So that really will put us into a situation where everyone will start saying the elections have been stolen even before they are. On the second statement, Madam Speaker, because I can see my time is up, it is quite sad. And I think we as a country are demanding so much from the Ministry of Education to a point where the Ministry of Education becomes confused. This CBC is the cause of everything. And as the stakeholders, Madam Speaker, it is about time that we take the necessary steps to be able to bring this correction. Madam Speaker, when you listen to the students, I actually I went to see one school, which is directly opposite my home, at 3 a.m. in the morning, when the student decided to set the school on fire. Madam Speaker, please give me 1 minute.
1 minute.
Because speaking for 1 minute, 60 seconds sometimes is difficult. Madam Speaker, the problem is that we do not have a consistent calendar for these students. Students are in school for 2 weeks, they are sent home for midterm. Students are asked to bring in a laptop when the father or the parents do not even afford a mulika mwizi. We are demanding so much from the Ministry of Education, and that this is our responsibility as parents, as leaders. I think it's about time we now sit down and play our oversight role and direct. And I know some of us here will say, we cannot direct, we recommend. But with what is going on, it started with a school in Narok, your regular secondary school, where students decided to set a dormitory on fire just because they were being denied to go and preach. You know, some youth wanted to have a homecoming ceremony because now the culture, and I feel sorry, Madam Speaker, for this current generation. This current generation, if we do not play our role as leaders to be able to guide them, I don't know what will become of other future generation which will come in. The current generation is so entitled. We have made them entitled. You know, we are guilty. So I think the best thing we can do, Madam Speaker, is that instead of pointing all the blame at the Ministry of Education, we also figure out a way that we can now sit down and evaluate what was wrong with the 844 system. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Senator Sakaja Johnson, 2 minutes.
Speaker, 2 minutes is so difficult, but I'll try. Madam Speaker, I have currently 19 girls hospitalized at Metropolitan Hospital in Buruburu, around the area, and 16 at Jama Hospital. 63 in total have been hospitalized because of the fire that broke out on Sunday at 4:30 p.m. One of the hostels is called Kingdom Hostel. But before that fire broke out, there had been communication to the principal, Mrs. Caroline Maina, about some discontent on the pressure on the Form 3 girls who are being categorized according to performance. There's something wrong with how we are dealing with our students at that age. And this pressure, we have a mental health breakdown. The pressure that we're putting upon them, I think something needs to be done. I am meeting with the regional director of education together with the principal and the board of this school, not just to address what has already happened, but to get a feel of what we must do to the other schools. Because the problem when you start reporting on these fires, the peer pressure. Another school says, oh, have you seen Buruburu Girls? And Buruburu Girls is, when I was in high school, it was a very popular school. We used to call it Burumambao. Say, have you seen Buruburu Girls have burnt? When are we burning ours? And the peer pressure, and it starts a series. In fact, I would ask the media, I don't know how to limit how they report on this, because when other students see it, then they also want to do it, because it is now cool to do it. So it's very unfortunate, Madam Speaker. And it was so sad when I saw the girls jumping out of windows. That level of distress, that level of fear in their eyes, and when there's a fire and she's on the 3rd floor. So I'm really, I really want to say sorry to the families and to the parents of these students for what they went through. Madam Speaker, on the first issue, and once I do it, I'll report. Even before the Committee of Education looks into it, I'll report as Senator for Nairobi. Because these girls are my students, these schools are mine. I'll invite members who want to accompany me to talk, to have this discussion before waiting for the relevant committee. On the first statement, I think I'd like to get more details because, Madam Speaker, even our courts must give rulings that are practical. If you tell me to do a service, that I extend voter registration, and I don't have money to pay these clerks, in the same ruling, you should also direct Treasury to give us money or to give the IBC money. Madam Speaker, we have less than 10% of people who've registered. There is apathy. The messages that has gone out are not inspiring to these young people. We need to relook at it, but the same ruling...
Senator Lakina, I didn't want you to interrupt because I've given him 1 more minute.
Yes, just to finish on that.
3-3.
The same ruling, we must respect court orders, but court orders must also be practical. If they actually don't have the resources, that's a point of information. If they actually don't have the resources, let the Justice Committee be able to tell us how much more, because we want not just for 1 week.
A point of information.
Madam Speaker, we don't want just for 1 week.
What is out of order? I hope.
Madam Speaker, we have 3 arms of government, and courts decide based on their facts.
That is
No, Madam Speaker. I just want to know. Yeah, is it in order for the distinguished senator, the future governor of Nairobi, to come out here and cast aspersion on the judiciary, which rules based on facts that they are given on the table? The judiciary does not know what the budget of the IBC is. So I think the key most important here is that we must profess, we must push for government to respect court of orders. So, Madam Speaker, I don't think it's in order for the distinguished senator to be able to point a finger at the judiciary that they should give court orders that are practical.
Thank you,
what is not practical about that, Madam Speaker?
Madam Speaker, when the IBC is unable to pay these clerks, and we'll bring another statement why they are not able to pay, what we need to do as a house is to make sure they have the correct allocation for another month of a voter registration exercise that is properly targeted to these young people who are on social media. The traditional ways of getting these young people to register will not work, where you're putting advertisements on the newspapers and notices in markets and on notice boards. We need to have a youth-targeted, youth-centric voter registration campaign that will target our young people. Nairobi was supposed to get 750,000 people more. We've only hit 75,000. So, Madam Speaker, I am not pointing fingers at the judiciary, and fingers should not be pointed to IEBC as well if they don't have the resources. Let us make sure the solution found is that we have the resources to do another month or 2 of the mass voter registration exercise. Finally, Madam Speaker, I'll alert members on our platform on the issue of Buruburu girls. And for those who can help support, I know some of the girls have lost some documents, whatnot. We'll go, and the principal, together with the parents, will tell us what they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Gerard Gates. Samson, please let's try not to exceed 3. Because we don't seem to have the time.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think the ongoing schools unrest and incidences of fires across the nation has not, of course, Nandi, we have not reported so much, many incidences, but I've seen number of schools have gone on unrest, somewhere in Nandi sub-county, among other areas in Nandi County. Madam Speaker, I think what we need to do as a country, I think it is the right time, apart from the peer pressure, and I want to ask the media to be cautious when they are reporting on these fire incidences across the country, because it looks like there is some peer pressure. When you see other counties, other schools are being burned down, maybe they get excited and they think by burning theirs, it appears to be cool. But I think, Madam Speaker, there is a lot of peer pressure. Number 2, Madam Speaker, I think as a country, and with the onset of CBC, Madam Speaker, it is the right time to reconsider the system of boarding schools across the nation, Madam Speaker. Our children are being in school, they have been in boarding, Madam Speaker, for 3 months or 4 months. With that kind of pressure within the same environment, Madam Speaker, it continues to give them unnecessary pressure, Madam Speaker. So we need to reconsider on the issue of boarding schools in this republic. Let us make all our schools to be day schools, Madam Speaker, and our children can come back in the evening so that we don't leave our children with the teachers and principals, Madam Speaker. Because most of us parents have abdicated our role and allowed the principals and teachers, given them unnecessary job description, because they are supposed to teach from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Madam Speaker. Yet you demand that teacher on duty to be on duty throughout the night, Madam Speaker. Finally, Madam Speaker, is also the issue of academic performance, Madam Speaker. Most of the students, according to research, that start most of the fire incidences and indiscipline, Madam Speaker, is because most of them do not perform very good in school, and therefore they are given pressure by the school administrators that they must perform. And most of the students are not of similar capacities, Madam Speaker. So we must agree that the pressure that the schools, and you heard what Buruburu girls' parents said yesterday on the news, that even it was reported to the principal, and the principal said, Chomeni. So how should we handle? I think we need more guidance and counseling centers to be more student-friendly, so that when such incident has to be happen, Madam Speaker, they must be nipped at the bud. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Kachwang Moses.
Madam Speaker, I want to start with a statement on the fires, and I wish to send my prayers and apologies to the children who are in hospital. Madam Speaker, Achebe in Things Fall Apart told us that when the mother cow is chewing grass, the calf watches. What our children are doing is a reflection of what the parents and adults are doing. When we are full of impunity, violating COVID protocols, insulting each other on public platform, our children are going to follow suit. We must also make a good example instead of every time condemning our children, and yet we did not live up to the expectations that is expected of parents. And Madam Speaker, through subsequent legislation, we have stripped our teachers of all authority. Nowadays, teachers cannot even discipline children in schools, as it was in the past. These are things that we need to look at, even as we blame the young children of running astray. On the statement on IBC, Madam Speaker, in today's world, young people can order food online. They can book tickets online. They can attend church online. They attend weddings online. They attend funerals online. They attend school online. They graduate online, Madam Speaker. Why should we be telling these people to go to their local villages, to the chief's camp, to take voters' cards, as if they are going for a COVID vaccination? Madam Speaker, I want to urge the legal committee of this House to quickly do an audit of the IBC and its readiness for the next election, because we have got a trinity of evil, Madam Speaker. We've got someone in charge of the data of this country, a data commissioner, someone in charge of transmission, someone in charge of the Elections Management Board, and those three people were part of the discredited election that almost drove this country into an abyss. Madam Speaker, there are those who have said even if Uhuru Odinga was chairman of IBC, it should not be a problem. But I want to tell you, election is a reason why Kenyans kill each other. We are not killing each other now because of curfew, but at election time, it will be brother against brother, tribe against tribe. We must get it right. And Madam Speaker, I hope these statements will call for a bigger audit of regulations, preparation, procurement, and all those things that can ensure and assure Kenyans of a free and fair election.
Thank you, Senator Kitua Nguki Isaac.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the issue of fire, I think we have a great problem. It is true that I am not a parent, but I have a brother, and I have some sisters, and I've also been a student, and not yet. Thank you, Sakaja. But I want to say, Madam Speaker, I think we are dealing with the issue of hardware and not the software. I think whatever we're experiencing in our country, not only in schools, but everywhere in this country, is as a result of how we are raising our kids. Madam Speaker, I remember when I was growing up, when my dad and mom said no, it meant a no, no matter what you did. But nowadays, I think the kind of children that we are raising them in a manner to tell them that you can do anything and you can access anything and you can get anything that you want, regardless whether it is correct or not correct. Again, Madam Speaker, on the second statement about IEBC, I was affected by the 2007 post-election violence, and the main reason was how the election were conducted. Madam Speaker, as my senior Senator Kajwang has said, we are living in an era of technology. We need IEBC to stop doing the same things that they have been doing. They must also up their game. And one of the issues that they must up their game on is the issue of communication. We need them to continue communicating and updating us on each and every step that they are making and their preparedness towards 2022 election. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Inima. 3 minutes, please, Max.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Just briefly to touch on the two issues. When it comes to the issue of IBC...
Sorry, there is an intervention from Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This will help the senators that are contributing to that statement on the unrest in schools. I've just seen information from the ministry that they have now agreed that secondary schools will have to break for midterm on Friday, November 19th, and resume on Tuesday, November 23rd, to deal with this unrest in schools. It's a good step, I think. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Wow, okay. Senator Inima.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Just very quickly on the two issues. One, the issue of IEBC. The reality on the ground is that there's extreme voter lethargy when it comes to, picking, voters' cards. So there's need for IEBC to extend this process to even 2 months so that there is mobilization of people in the counties to go and register as voters. Because I remember when I was in Lugari, you move from one ward to another, you find that people are not keen about registering. But this is bad because they're denying themselves the constitutional right of electing their own deserving leaders. So there is need for that process to be extended, and there's need for also leaders to go on the ground and sensitize on issues of people, taking voters' cards. Quickly on the issue of Buruburu girls, I'm very sorry for what happened in Buruburu girls, but just a quick one also as a teacher. I've been a teacher before, and I always insist that when it comes to discipline in students, the tripartite relationship of the students, teachers, and also parents is very important, because in some schools, Honorable Speaker, you will find students just doing things that are unthinkable, but when they go home, they talk to their parents, instead of supporting the teachers to help discipline their child, they now gang up against teachers, Honorable Speaker. And also, I want to talk about the issue of emergency doors. There's need for boarding schools to have emergency doors, just in case a fire comes out. There's need for an exit door, Honorable Speaker. And also the issue of schools is not for the government alone. It is an issue of parents, it is an issue of partners, so parents should be willing also to come in and support schools in coming up with schools that are friendly, Honorable Speaker. So I support these two statements.
What's out of order, Senator Sagaja?
Madam Speaker.
She has finished.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, something very strange has just happened. That the person who brought the statement has given us information that there is now a midterm break, and he says then it's okay. So has he stepped down the statement? Madam Speaker, because we need to, and he said, so that's a good thing. There's a break that's been ordered. The policy, the framework that allows a policy decision to be made, such as no midterm, is what still needs to be questioned, because this is reactionary. That the ministry has now said there will be a break from November 19th. It's reactionary because of the unrest. So I think the Chair of Education is here, and we must implore that we must still get to the bottom of these policy decisions being made in the dark that are leading our children to take such action in the schools.
Thank you, Senator Sagaja. Senator Wambua, I don't want you to touch on it because I was wondering why you are giving us breaking news from 411 newspapers. We don't know where you are getting your information. You are not the Minister of Education, and they are not communicating to you officially. So I don't want you to touch on it. Are you giving us more information? Or?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the reason why I brought that matter to the attention of the Senate is twofold. One, to highlight the importance of this discussion, that in fact the ministry, following what we are debating now, is making a decision that is positive. Secondly, Madam Speaker, the issue of midterm is an issue that has been canvassed by all the senators, almost all of them, in their contribution. And I just bring you the information that matter is already being dealt with. Madam Speaker, I was just saving time for the Senate, and I think it's a good thing. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Kindiki Kidure, Professor.
Honorable Speaker, I want to make very brief remarks as follows. First, on the issue of the strikes and incidents around schools, it is my view, Honorable Speaker, that the curriculum that we are having is overcrowded for our children. And with the COVID-19, the situation has even become worse because now a heavy curriculum has now had to be dealt with in the context of a backlog. And I think there is only so much that a human person can sustain. It's impossible. It is impossible to raise children while subjecting them to the kind of study program that we are subjecting them at the moment. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, as a nation, we must find ways of balancing between the freedom that we so much cherish and limiting exposure of our children to social media. I know some countries in the East have gone to the extreme of very high limitations. And the other countries, and I think that's where we fall, have been very liberal when it comes to exposure to social media. Some of the bad habits that we are seeing our children espousing are direct influence from social media, Honorable Speaker. Secondly, on the issue of IBC, I want to make the following three comments. One, we must respect court orders, however painful. However painful. Two, I just want to say in terms of what the commissioner said today, that they don't have money. It makes sense. So, as an officer of the court, I am imploring our judiciary, when they make such court orders, because we have already said we must respect the court orders, to be also sensitive to the practicability of court orders. Because when you instruct and order a public institution to do something, you must ask yourself as a judge, how does that public body implement your court order? Otherwise, Madam Speaker, we are creating a difficult situation where you will have an embarrassment, and we don't want to expose our judiciary. They have already been exposed to enough by other arms of government. So we will be the last to be able to expose our judiciary to any lack of obedience to court orders. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, with regard to the preparedness of the Commission to the general election, they are trying their best. We wish them well. Although I know they have also made Kenya elections extremely expensive. And up to now, they have not explained to Kenyans, at least to me satisfactory, why the cost of elections per capita in this country is 10 times, the next expensive system. In other words, our elections are among the most expensive in the world, and no particular reason has been given convincingly. Finally, Honorable Speaker, I request, as a country, we must remove politics from the conduct of elections if we have to sustain our democracy. And therefore, cabinet ministers who are lecturing us, yet they are partisan and they are promoting a particular political candidate, must step down from the multi-agency team, because espousing government policy, which is enshrined in the law for a minister of national government or a minister of a county government, does not include campaigning for a candidate for the next election.
Thank you, Senator. Finally, the chair of the committee, and I give you only 2 minutes to accept the direction. Yeah. Yes, what's your point of order?
Madam Speaker, I don't know if you have noticed that one senator, who I will not mention because his constituents are listening, is applauding by clapping the table. This is an august house. Madam Speaker, there's precedence on how we applaud in this house.
Well noted.
By stamping our feet. This is not a market in, let me not mention the county. This is not a bar. Madam Speaker, please, can you reprimand that member and tell them how senators...
Thank you, Senator.
Should I mention the name? No, I'll embarrass him. But kindly, I'm shocked. I am shocked, Madam Speaker. This is the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. In the capital, you stamp your feet on the ground to express to express that you're congratulating or you're happy with what someone... Affirmation.
Point is taken, and your colleague has been corrected.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yeah, 2 minutes only.
Okay, first of all, commenting on the first statement on IPC, I want to say that IPC should give more time for the registration, and that goes with funding, that they need to source for more funding to ensure this is done, because they need to be well prepared to avoid the scenario that we witnessed in 2007 of conflicts when we had an election that was not well done. On the issue of school unrest, Madam Speaker, I want to say one of my colleagues mentioned the fact that maybe the unrest is a result of CPC, and I want to inform the House that CPC is one of the best curriculum once it has gone through the entire system, and we must look out maybe for other issues that is causing unrest. Madam Speaker, my committee is well seized of this matter, and I'm sure we'll get to the root cause of this. But then I want to say that fires are not new in this country. School fires has been there. We still remember the Bombolulu case, Carl's case of 1998, which ended up ending in a loss of 26 girls. We still also remember the 1999 Kianguli case, where we lost children as well. We also have the Nyeri case of 1999, where we lost 4 privates in the school. And so I think we need to think, otherwise maybe to look at the policy once again, and I'm sure my committee will be able to look at what is happening together with the Ministry of Education and all the stakeholders when the time comes. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senators. The first statement of Senator Wambua on the upcoming elections, preparedness by IBC, stands committed to the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, while the second one on the ongoing student unrest in secondary schools stands committed to the Standing Committee on Education. Next order.
Order number 8, the Election Campaign Financing Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 51 of 2021, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Election Campaign Financing Act and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 9, motion rescinding the resolution of the Senate on approval of senators to serve in the Committee of Powers and Privileges.
Senator Faria, she was here. Oh, okay. Majority Leader is here.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to
move the motion.
To move the motion that reads rescinding the resolution of the Senate on approval of the senators to serve in the Committee of the Powers and Privileges, that pursuant to Standing Order 58.2, the Senate rescinds its resolution made on Thursday, 16 September 2021, on the approval of senators to serve in the Committee of Powers and Privileges. Madam Speaker, I don't want to take a lot of time on this, and this is the decision of the House and also House Business Committee. I therefore move the motion and request Senator Milgo to second.
Madam Speaker, I second.
Honorable Senators, I now propose the motion that pursuant to Standing Order 58-2A, the Senate rescinds its resolution made on Thursday, 16th September 2021 on the approval of senators to serve in the Committee of Powers and Privileges. Honorable Senators, I would now like to put the question. I don't see my contribution on that one. That pursuant to Standing Order 58-2A, the Senate rescinds its resolution made on Thursday, 16th September 2021 on the approval of senators to serve in the Committee of Powers and Privileges. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 10, motion, approval of senators to serve in standing committees.
Leader of Majority.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to move the motion that approves senators to serve in the standing committee. That notwithstanding the resolution of the Senate made on 14th December 2017, 14th February 2018, 21st February 2018, 21st November 2018, 20th March 2019, 19th June 2019, 28th April 2020, and 24th June 2020 on the approval of senators to serve in various standing committees of the Senate and pursuant to Standing Orders 189-218. The second schedule to the standing orders, the Senate approves the following senators nominated nominated by the Senate Business Committee to serve in the standing committee of the Senate as follows. Number 1, Standing Committee on Energy, Senator Haji Abdul Mohamed MP to serve as a member. Number 2, Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, Senator Isaac Ngugi Githua MP to serve as a member. Number 3, Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations, Senator Gideon Moi, CBS MP to serve as a member. Madam Speaker, this is also to place the senators who have come in new, who have just been sworn in, especially the first two. And number 3 is also to place Senator Gideon Moi to serve in the Committee of National Security. And this is the matter that has been canvassed both at the Leadership and also House Business Committee. And I request Senator Milgo to second the same also. Thank you.
Senator Milgo.
Madam Speaker, I second.
Honorable Senators, I would now like to propose the motion that notwithstanding the resolutions of the Senate made on the 14th December 2017, 14th February 2018, 21st February 2018, 21st November 2018, 20th March 2019, 19th June 2019, 28th April 2020, and 24th June 2020 on the approval of senators to serve in various standing committees of the Senate and pursuant to the Standing Orders 189-218 and the second schedule of the Standing Orders, the Senate approves the following senators nominated by the Senate Business Committee to serve in the standing committees of the Senate as follows. 1, Standing Committee on Energy, Senator Haji Abdul Mohamed MP to serve as a member. 2, Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, Senator Isaac Ngugi Githua MP to serve as a member. 3, Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations, Senator Gideon Moi, CBS, MP, to serve as a member. Senator Kizua Nguki Isaac.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have no problem serving in that committee, but I have had discussions going around about the suitability of some of us to be leaders, even at committee levels. Madam Speaker, I need to stand firm and say that we need to be real. And we came in as replacements. There are people that we replaced. And I think it can only be good if we replace our predecessors in the committees that they were in. Madam Speaker, that issue of saying someone is too young to serve in any committee, it is completely out of order. Madam Speaker, if I were there in 1963, when we were fighting for independence, probably I would be Minister for Defense, because as you see how the first cabinet was constituted, it was constituted majorly by the young men of that time. And therefore...
Senator Kachwang has a point of order.
Madam Speaker, Senator Githua is in my committee, and so I didn't want to disrupt his train of thought. But it has been the tradition that when you are the beneficiary of a motion, you do not contribute to it. This motion lists Senator Githua as having been placed in a committee. I just wanted to advise him and also seek your indulgence, Madam Speaker, that unless Senator Githua wants to extricate himself from these committees where he's being proposed, he should then allow other members of the House to be the ones to discuss his suitability to be in that committee. It has been our tradition that if you are the beneficiary, you let other members debate.
Senator Kithua, I hope you are advised. I actually didn't realize that I gave you first. I should have given you last, so that you either accept or not accept, but allow members to discuss that position.
Madam Speaker,
they are also very honorable members in the committee you are being sent in, and if you make it look like that committee of Justice, Legal Affairs, and Human Rights is not as comfortable, then you are talking to members of the same committee, one of whom is sitting next to you, a very senior lawyer, my first PhD in law in Moi University. So please allow members, don't persuade them in any direction. Let them discuss this motion on their own.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand guided. I was speaking on behalf of the silent majority.
Thank you, Senator Olekina Ledama.
Madam Speaker, I rise to support this motion. I think it's about time that...
Senator Cherargei, I hope you are not talking to yourself.
Madam Speaker, I think we should give him some water. He might be
very
thirsty.
Worrying.
Madam Speaker, I rise to support this motion. I believe it's time that we really try to create quorums in some of these committees. You know, the changes which have been proposed by the House Business Committee brought today to replace some of our colleagues who have departed. Sometimes it's quite difficult when you want to be able to raise quorum in any committee, particularly, let's say, on the Committee of Energy, where members are probably spread to other committees, the Committee on Legal Affairs. And this is a very, very interesting time for us when we are debating various legislation proposals, particularly on the Elections Committee. It would be important for the Committee on Legal and Justice Affairs to have full members. So I fully support this, and I hope that we can be able to move forward and actually make all the changes that we need to change, accept that we have a very short time to work for these Kenyans who have given us an opportunity to serve them in this country. Because sometimes, Madam Speaker, this debate on committees, on which member to serve on which committee, really takes a very different and wrong turn. And it's all because of personal interest. So I think let us all agree that the shortest time we have, in the middle of all these recesses that we get, the Committee on Energy, the Committee on Devolution, the Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs, the Committee on Labor, all these committees that requires members to be filled in. For those who want to work, Madam Speaker, you can tell, look at the House today. You know, I would not want to quote the standing orders because of the hybrid system, but in ordinary circumstances, we would not even be sitting here because we don't have enough members sitting here. So whenever we get such a motion, I want to persuade my colleagues that we should all support so that we can be able to continue doing our job. Committees in Parliament, we do our job both in plenary and in committees. So, Madam Speaker, I support.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Gerard Gay, Samson Gibrotich.
Madam Speaker, I oppose this motion on various reasons. One, you gave us a break like 2-3 weeks ago. We did a Kamkunji. We agreed on draft of reasoning, and the meeting of Kamkunji was chaired by the minority and majority leader. There was supposed to be an overhaul and changes that were done, Madam Speaker, in all committees. But leadership, in its dishonesty, has decided to bring what we call piecemeal changes to fit their own interests, Madam Speaker. I think we need to be honest. Then why did we interrupt the session of the House to make a resolution that would not assist in ensuring efficiency and effectiveness of the House? And I forgive Senator Ledama Olekina, Madam Speaker, because at that time he was not around. But if you check the answer and the one we did on Kamkunji, Madam Speaker, we agreed. And they are even on the issue of National Security Committee. There are some members that were mentioned on issues of Laikipia, that they shouldn't serve in some of those sensitive security committee, Madam Speaker. So I think, to be honest to Kenyans, we cannot put some members who have been mentioned adversely in some of the issues that is happening around the country, Madam Speaker, to be members of those committees. It will mean that the committee itself, Madam Speaker.
There is a point of order from Senator Dulo.
Madam Speaker, Senator Cherargei has really mentioned a member of this House who has been mentioned in a security report, and he has been put in security committee. And I think it is important that he should give evidence, because he is completely out of order, when I know very well there is no report tabled here that has implicated any member of this House. I thank you.
Thank you, Senators. But you know, it is not the Senator to say that somebody is completely out of order. You ask whether somebody is in order, then we can be able to deal. But Senator Gerard Gay, it is true you have made two statements that I thought were attracting the attention of members. You don't really have to insinuate or say something negative about a member before a proper discussion is done. And by the way, before you forgive Senator Ledama, remember there are members in this House who don't have committees. Remember there are committees in this House that have not had quorum. So those are realities that we must all be aware of, even as we move forward. So can you have your last minute?
Madam Speaker, what I was trying to do is just being honest, because, Madam Speaker, I think the Devolution Committee, Madam Speaker, had been populated properly. And we didn't pass, and
Another
I think Senator
point of order
Kajwang.
from Senator Faria.
Secondly, Madam Speaker.
Another point of order from Senator Faria.
Madam Speaker, he is affirming what he had said. So I think without substantive motion to discuss a member, the way Senator Cherargei is insinuating is not right. And he has done it again after even he talked. You try to make things better. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Gerard Gay, the only way you can confirm the truth is with evidence. That is all. That is what's required. And you are a lawyer. So please, let's stick to the debate of whether these members can join these committees or not.
Madam Speaker, I oppose, let me put it across. Somebody has said that some committees are not well populated. I remember there was a motion that was brought and Senator Kajwang,
There is another point of order from Senator
Devolution
Ruto.
Committee. Oh.
Madam Speaker, I think we have made very clear intervention here. Can Senator Cherargei provide evidence or withdraw a statement that he has made on the floor of this House that there is a member who has been implicated in a security of Laikipia?
Senator Cherargei, are you ready to come and substantiate or you withdraw?
Madam Speaker, there was a member of the Security Committee. It is unanswered, and if you can give me time, I can retrieve.
Is there a report that is implicating?
It was made by a member of the Committee of National Security. It is on record, and
what
it is
was made?
unanswered.
What was
that
made?
some of the members of this House, or specifically some of the members of this House, had been mentioned during their
Senator
visit
Cherargei.
to Laikipia.
Senator Cherargei, I hope you are not repeating what that member said if it was just a mention, because then it means both members are really putting the House in disrepute.
So,
is there evidence that you have that you can defend your own self?
Madam Speaker, for the interest of the House, I withdraw and reframe it like this.
Thank you very much.
That's-
I think that removes the intervention.
Can I
from-
have my last minute?
You said you have withdrawn and?
I want to make the final comment on...
No, you need to apologize because I can see Kajwang is ready. And I can see Senator Lakina is ready.
What is happening, Madam Speaker? I'm not getting why our members ready. Over
Yes. Okay, on a point of order, Kajwang.
Madam Speaker, we need to be extremely careful how we prosecute business in this House. Just a week or two back, Senator Cherargei, it was mentioned on the floor of this House that he wasted taxpayers' money by going to the US, to Boeing, to inspect aeroplanes, and then he brings back a report without a recommendation. But because the House did not take a resolution on that matter, we cannot hold it against him. And so, Madam Speaker, it cannot be that if a member said something on the floor of this House, taking advantage of parliamentary privilege, that can be taken as a resolution. And so, Madam Speaker, is Senator Cherargei really in order? As you have already advised him, that he cannot refer to banter in the House, because if we are going to rely on banter, Madam Speaker, we should be asking the ESCC to investigate Senator Cherargei for going to Boeing to inspect aeroplanes.
Senator
Madam
Kajwang,
Speaker.
he has withdrawn. What he has not done, again, according to our standing orders, is to withdraw and apologize. Yeah. He has apologized already. Senator Cherargei, let's not go there.
Madam Speaker, let's not go there. You know, Madam Speaker, it will be unfair for this to go on record. All foreign travels are approved by your office.
Exactly.
Does it mean Senator Kajwang, who just come back from the US using taxpayers' money, and yet he's here to table and report, mean that he's casting aspersion to your office by approving his trip to the US? Why is he bringing political gossip before the House?
Senator Cherargei.
Does he cast aspersions to your office? Because all travels, both local and international, are approved by your office. Does it mean you don't have capacity to approve some of the trips? I think that Senator Kajwang must apologize and withdraw, Madam Speaker.
Order, Senator
He must
Cherargei.
apologize and withdraw.
Order, Senator Cherargei. Don't take us away from the point. You have withdrawn. Yes. Can you apologize so we can move? Because we have only 3 minutes to finish this.
Which part? Madam Speaker, I apologize to leadership. But I want to say I withdraw that part and apologize and say that in conclusion, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, yeah.
That let us avoid dishonest. I have said we had a Kamkunji here. There were many resolutions that were made. We agreed that members who have specific interests should be prevented or should not be populated in committees that they have been adversely or have adverse conflict of interest, Madam Speaker. And my question is simple. Why is the leadership of this House, anyway, they are always absent, why is it their interests, Madam Speaker,
Senator Cherargei.
can I finish?
Senator Cherargei,
I had only 30 seconds, Madam Speaker.
No, you had withdrawn, you have apologized. Now you are taking us back because we are saying we are not discussing that unless you are coming with evidence. If the leadership did not receive any evidence, then they don't have any reason why
Madam
they should
Speaker, I thought I was sitting in that Kamukunji. You gave us a break and it can be checked.
Senator Cherargei. Order, Senator Cherargei. The Kamukunji made the decisions they made. If you have any evidence against how the leadership moved forward, you need to bring it here. Because if there is no evidence, then that evidence did not reach the leadership. That's why they made the decisions they did. But what we have insisted is that we must ensure that members are in committees. We cannot block these members from going to committees because of allegations that have no evidence. And we have said, let's protect every member of this House, you included. We don't want anything that has no evidence. I think we are done. Your minute is over. Senator Haji Faria Ali.
Can I conclude? I oppose.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think Senator Cherargei should have been made to withdraw again because he continued in the same line.
But you are also going that direction, and I want to caution you.
Okay.
Yeah, please contribute to the motion.
Okay, Madam Speaker, one of the resolutions of the Kamukunji included CPIC membership. And Madam Speaker, as you're aware, the term of CPIC is ending 2nd of December. And a new committee will be constituted anyway. And if there are any anomalies on that committee, then they can be addressed at that time. And that is why, this was not, there were so many committees that the changes were affecting. And that is why I think the leadership decided that let us not do that major, reshuffle. There are committees like the Senator Kajwang's committee that was suffering, that problem was sorted. And now, because there are senators who are without committees and they would like to work and they can't work and they can't wait until the new term of now, January, for the other committees to be constituted properly, then it was felt that let this committee be, just the gaps to be replaced. And this is a party issue, Madam Speaker. So the resolution of sometimes you can make a resolution, but once you do the analysis, you see something that it's not implementable. And it is not strategic in terms of to make that kind of decision. Since the session is ending, there was no need to do a major, because the list that had contentions had a major shift. This one is just replacing members who have either through death or through death in both cases. So their slots are being replaced with other members. So I think this should not even raise a major issue. There are only 3 members being replaced in 3 committees. Surely that is not too much to ask. I support, and I wish the other senators support. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Nyamunga Rose.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity just to add 1 or 2 comments on the constitution of the committees. Madam Speaker, I don't think that it is right for us to hold our committees at ransom, that we cannot operate. We are here to serve the interest of Kenyans. I remember that about 2 weeks ago, we could not function in the devolution committee. And not only that, there were several committees that could not function for almost 2-3 months, since Senator Kabaka passed on, and then Senator Prengei. So it is not good for us to all the time.
Senator Cherargei, what is out of order?
Madam Speaker, I rise on point of order on standing order number 35. Standing order number 35, which says a quorum of the Senate or a committee of the all shall be 15 senators. Looking around, Madam Speaker, I can confirm that the House does not have the necessitated number of senators, and I request yourself to guide us so that we don't, Madam Speaker.
We have a good number online, But you are going to only push us to start counting people online and on.
So I request,
Yes?
Madam Speaker, that they be counted.
Yes, we shall count members. Those online, please continue to be online.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think that's a lot of interruption. I was saying that the Committee of Devolution could not function for the last 3 months because of the numbers. And we are also approaching a critical time.
Let me respond so that you continue. We have 5 online and we have 11 here, so we are good. Thank you. Yeah, please allow us.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, I'm just concluding the few points that I wanted to make. I think we should be more serious. We are almost coming to the end of this 12th Parliament, and it's unfortunate that so many things are pending. A lot of questions and petitions that we are getting from the public. So I think it is important that we don't drag this House behind. We constitute the committees. Some of them have been constituted already, like the Devolution Committee and others. So let's move forward and give Kenyans what they deserve. So I support this, and also I would like to tell a few of our members that wherever you are placed, it doesn't matter. You are competent enough to to serve in any committee. So whatever it is, you just need maybe 1 or 2 sittings for anybody to understand what's going on in the respective committees. So it is unfortunate for anybody to decline some of these placements, but it's important that we accept and move on so that we give a proper service to our people. I thank you, Madam Speaker, and I support the constitution of the committees. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable senators. May I now propose the question, which is that notwithstanding the resolutions of the Senate made on 14th December 2017, 14th February 2018, 21st February 2018, 21st November 2018, 20th March 2019, 19th June 2019, 28th April 2020, and 24th June 2020 on the approval of the senators to serve in various standing committees of the Senate, and pursuant to Standing Orders 189, 2018, and the second schedule of the standing orders, the Senate approves the following senators nominated by the Senate Business Committee to serve in the standing committees of the Senate as follows. 1, Standing Committee on Energy, Senator Haji Abdul Mohammed MP to serve as a member. 2, Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, Senator Isaac Ngugi Kithua MP to serve as member. 3, Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations, Senator Gideon Moy, CBS MB to serve as a member. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 11, motion, adoption of the report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the status of Kenya's stock of public debt.
Okay, we are resuming debate, and Senator Gerarga, you had 2 minutes remaining. 2 minutes, adoption of the report of Standing Committee on Finance and Budget.
Madam Speaker, I want to support the report by the Committee of Finance and Budget and say that as a country, we must go look into the future of sustainable public debt. I think as a parliament, we had said that we must look at the debt register of this republic, Madam Speaker. We agree that as at the moment, the information we have is 7.7 trillion public debt. And I want to say, when the time comes from the Ministry of Treasury wanting to raise the public debt ceiling, I did oppose when they raised to 7 trillion. Madam Speaker, if they intend to raise to 12 trillion, Madam Speaker, Personally, I will still oppose the raising of a public debt, Madam Speaker, ceiling. Because as a country, we must have a sustainable debt. We have already said the expensive loans that the country has borrowed. The economy is not doing very well, Madam Speaker, especially post-COVID era and during COVID, Madam Speaker. So I want to ask the Committee of Finance and Budget. We have seen the recommendations that they have given in their report, Madam Speaker. And say that we must look at, because having a budget of around 3 trillion, Madam Speaker, yet a half of it can be raised through revenue, Madam Speaker, yet a half, almost 3/4 of the national revenue is being paid to expensive loans, Madam Speaker. And you remember even the media had asked the President then to provide evidence that the ownership of Mombasa Port is not with the Chinese as a collateral, Madam Speaker. So I think going into the future, we must agree how many national assets, as I conclude, if the Chinese loans, for example, and other World Bank structural adjustment programs, how many of our national assets, like Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, the LAPSET project, the Mombasa Port, how many of those national assets are with our debtors, are with the Chinese loans, are with other loans, World Bank, and other structure adjusted programs, Madam Speaker. Finally, Madam Speaker, the country should not allow itself to use what we had in early 90s through World Bank called structural adjust programs. We have seen now the expensive fuel because of the debts that we have, Madam Speaker, and I know the change in the speakership, my neighbor, Senator Rose Nyamunga. Madam Speaker, I think as a country, we must agree that if we do not agree on the management of the public debt, life will continue being expensive, the poverty levels will go up, and I think, Madam Speaker, we need to borrow from the first world countries, and it is good people like Ladama or Lakina have been in the countries that are first world, and they should be able to assist the government in terms of managing the public debt. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Professor Kindiki Githure.
Honorable Speaker, I almost asked whether it was in order for Senator Cheragai to refer to the Speaker as his neighbor, but since he has finished, I will leave it to lie. Honorable Speaker, the stockpiling of debt is a matter of grave national concern. And at the moment, the total debt in this country remains unclear, and the executive continues to deny that they have mortgaged the country and that the debt is not sustainable. Honorable Speaker, at 70% of GDP, Kenya's debt is not sustainable, and I'll explain why. It is not sustainable because I know in many countries the level of debt is quite high compared to GDP. For example, the United States of America is about 110%. In Singapore, it's about 165%. In Japan, it is 250% of GDP, etc., etc. However, Honorable Speaker, we should not be deluded that this country can sustain the debt levels currently at 70% of GDP. And there are two main reasons for this, Honorable Speaker. The first one is who owns the debt. While the countries I've cited, the debt is owned by locals. Our debt, most of it, is owned by foreigners. In terms of foreign nations. And also, while in these countries most of those debts have concessionary or minimal interest or nominal interest rates, our debts, much of our debt portfolio is not only owned by foreigners, but is at commercial as opposed to concessionary interest rates. So, for example, in Japan, 95% of the debt of that country is owned by Japanese. either Japanese companies or wealthy, high net worth individuals, mainly elderly people who are not in a hurry to keep on investing here and there, and who do not want a risk-averse investment. So they are not going to demand for, they are not going to call the debt anytime soon, because most of that debt is owned by Japanese families in perpetuity. But in this country, on the contrary, most of the debt is owned by foreign nationals and foreign corporations, as I have said, and the interest rates are exorbitant. Honorable Speaker, the second reason why our debt is not sustainable is because of the question, what backs or what collateral is used against the debt in question. In the US, in Japan, Singapore, etc., the debt is almost entirely owned by the equivalent of the central bank. For example, 93% of the Japanese debt is owned by the Bank of Japan. And being as such, it is unlikely that the Bank of Japan can auction the assets of Japan, or the Reserve Bank in America cannot auction the state, because this is the state institution, is the state treasury. And therefore, one of the reasons why that debt in those countries will be sustainable, even if it is very high compared to the GDP, is because it is owned by the national treasury. And because it is owned by the national treasury, it is easy for the national treasury to even write it off by mere paper accounting. That is not the case in our country. Also, the debt in the countries with high levels of debt to GDP ratio is backed by a very strong manufacturing industry. The example I've been given of Japan, for example, suffice that Japan is the biggest creditor on earth. It has assets of over $3 trillion US in form of foreign currency and in form of foreign investments abroad. One may ask, Honorable Speaker, what does this country manufacture and what foreign reserves or foreign investments does this country hold? So it means, therefore, if we default, and we are likely to default, this country will lose the international airport, as it has happened or is almost happening in Zambia. Zambia is about to lose the international airport. It's also, I think, the same country is about to lose the utility, the power utility farm, the equivalent of Kenya Power, to Chinese creditors. A country like Sri Lanka is actually almost losing the main seaport in Colombo to Chinese creditors. So, Honorable Speaker, those who continue to delude us that our debt levels are sustainable must be condemned in the highest terms possible. And I want to end my remarks by saying the following statement, that those who are in one way or another responsible for bankrupting Kenya and placing our country into a course of irredeemable debt will pay dearly in life or in death. Honorable Speaker, I support the recommendations of the committee.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Kajwang Moses Otieno, Senator for Homa Bay.
Madam Speaker, I rise to support the report of the Finance Committee on Kenya's public debt stock. Madam Speaker, this House had requested the Committee on Finance to inquire on the status of public stock of debt in Kenya and its implication on Kenya's development agenda. And so what the committee has given us is a risk assessment report that is meant to keep the House at par with information from key stakeholders in relation to sustainability of public financial resources available to finance both national and county governments. And Madam Speaker, I know there are those who might think that the subject of public debt should be a preserve of the National Assembly. But as long as issues of public debt affect the revenue that is shareable between the national and county governments, it becomes the business of Senate, it becomes the interest of all citizens in this republic. The Finance Committee on page 7 of the report has made several recommendations, has made 5 recommendations. But these recommendations are to ask the National Treasury to submit certain pieces of legislation and certain reports to Parliament within 6 months and within 28 days to provide a status report on its structuring of public debt. Madam Speaker, when you look at the mandate that this House gave the Finance Committee and the recommendations that they've made, I think they did a good job, but came up with lazy proposals. The committee had been tasked not just to give deadlines to Treasury, the committee was tasked to inquire on the implication of debt on Kenya's development agenda. And Madam Speaker, that was a subject that could produce volumes of books. It was not just a matter of describing the debt ceiling, a matter of describing where we sit today, a matter of describing and transcribing what the various stakeholders said. We would have expected that the Finance Committee would have dug deep and would have told us the implication of debt on Kenya's development agenda. Nonetheless, Madam Speaker, this report makes for good reading because we've got submissions from various stakeholders. Unfortunately, many of the stakeholders are government entities and agencies that are quite involved in the discussions, negotiation, and management of public debt. And so you do not expect that they are going to tell you that the decisions they've made are unsustainable and are not viable. Madam Speaker, how I would have appreciated if the Finance Committee would have talked to civil society and other groups, policy institutes and think tanks that have been looking into this matter. Madam Speaker, we established the Kenya Institute of Public Policy and Research and Analysis. It is a statutory body established by an act of parliament with some very eminent persons. And yet, I have rarely seen a report of this House that is quoting what Kipra has said. Why do we waste resources by setting up such a high-level public policy institute, and yet we do not want to benefit from it? If you're going to ask Treasury whether the debt is sustainable, definitely they will tell you the debt is sustainable because they're responsible for it. We would have expected people like Kipra, people like Institute of Economic Affairs, and other civil society players to make an input. To that extent, Madam Speaker, I think that this report is not complete, and that's perhaps the reason why, as I said earlier, the recommendations are a bit lazy. We do not disagree that governments, that borrowing is a bad thing. Madam Speaker, even in our private matters, we all borrow. Because if you want to step from your position to a position of greater economic empowerment, you have to take some risks. And borrowing is one of those risks because you borrow with the hope that you're going to, like the parable of talents, do something with it so that it becomes bigger than what you had borrowed and you can pay back. And Madam Speaker, a few years ago when we took to the streets and when we were calling for transparency and disclosure on the Eurobond that the nation had taken, some of us were called names. In fact, there were insinuations, even by members in this House then, who were leading this House, that some of us had lost our marbles because they were asking why we were demonstrating outside on issues of Eurobond when we could have sorted that matter today. Madam Speaker, I'm happy that today there are few souls who have become Paul because they are now proclaiming a curse on those who have bankrupted this nation through borrowing of the Eurobond style. Madam Speaker, we went to the streets. We went to the central bank And Madam Speaker, I see the former leader of majority is looking at me a bit suspiciously. I'm not referring to him, even though he just proclaimed a curse on those who have bankrupted this country. But he was not with us on the street when we were talking about Eurobond. He was not with us when we went to the Central Bank of Kenya. He was not with us when we were complaining that the Central Bank of Kenya gave us redacted bank account statements. He was not with us when we were complaining why the president had rejected a request by the Auditor General to go and audit the books of accounts of the Kenyan government and to confirm whether the Eurobond money came to Kenya. But, Madam Speaker, it is only a fool who does not change their minds. And on the Eurobond matter, it is captured in this report. Kenya borrowed to pay recurrent expenditure, and yet the PFM Act is clear that any borrowing should be geared towards development. And I'm glad that now we are having a candid conversation to see how we spent or we squandered the money. Even in a family, Madam Speaker, if the head of the family, assuming the head of the family is a man, because even a woman can head a family, but if the man went and took a loan and charged the family land and got 1 million Kenya shillings, and the head of the family bought a tractor to till the land and to increase productivity in the family, Madam Speaker, I think that would be a bright decision that all members of the family would support. But we have seen cases where the man gets 1 million shillings from the bank and he decides to marry another wife, or he decides to go and rent a house in the nearby town so that he can be drinking tea and mandazi every morning. And Madam Speaker, those adventures, they rarely go beyond 6 months, because 1 million shillings, if you decided to consume it, if you decided to spend it with the girls you find in towns, and if you decided to be doing tea and chapatis in towns and drinking whiskeys in the evening, 1 million shillings will not be there in 6 months. And then you will have to pay it. That is what we did with Eurobond, Madam Speaker. We acted like an irresponsible father who took a loan so that you could get money to treat your mistresses and to do your funny things in the night. If we would have spent that money on Galana Kulalo, today we would not be talking of food insecurity. If we would have spent that money on housing, today we would not be talking of the crisis that this country faces as far as housing is concerned. That is where the rain started beating us. Madam Speaker, the deficits that we have in our budget are deficits that are avoidable. There is no point of coming up with budgets that are not balanced when we know that if you dealt with wastage, and if you dealt with corruption, and if you dealt with tax avoidance and tax evasion, that deficit would not be there. There are countries that have got a very disciplined approach to their budget. And they've taken, and for some of them it's a constitutional position, that this country shall never have a budget deficit, that we must always strive at a balanced budget, which means that your expenditure and your revenue streams must match. But this country, we take pride in the size of our budget. We are happy that we got a 3 trillion budget, and we are laughing at our neighbors, Uganda, Tanzania, and Rwanda, saying that your budgets are small. It's like 2 boys out in the field passing urine, comparing the sizes of their abilities. Having a 3 trillion budget, Madam Speaker, should only give us confidence if we have an equivalent revenue stream. But consistent budget deficits makes us borrow, and makes us borrow in ways that are not sustainable. Madam Speaker, the next government must deal with the issue of tax avoidance and tax evasion. It is time for us to review our tax code and make sure that taxation targets those people who have the ability and those people who are making profits out of this economy, and not those people who are suffering, like those paraffin users and petrol users and border riders. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, we have always wanted to lump taxes on the most vulnerable. We have always wanted to lump taxes on the majority, thinking that the more people who pay tax, the more tax revenues we shall get. We don't realize what other countries are doing, that we need to look at our high net worth individuals without making the cost of business too high, but there are people who, through transfer pricing, through tax evasion, through tax avoidance, through creativity in accounting, are not paying the taxes that they're supposed to pay. And yet a border rider, a matatu conductor, matatu driver, at every point when that matatu is ignited, there is money that goes to the government in forms of petroleum taxes. We must make sure that our tax code and our tax regime is revolutionized, Madam Speaker, so that it does not favor the rich at the expense of the poor, to ensure that everyone carries a proportionate burden of tax in this country. And that can only be done through a radical review of our tax code. Madam Speaker, we must also audit our tax agencies and tax bodies. I saw that one of the state corporations, a lifestyle audit has been commenced. And I want to thank this House for passing Senator Faria's bill, the lifestyle audit bill. The next government must, within 100 days, give an order, lifestyle audit, to everyone who's at the level of director and above at the Kenya Revenue Authority. Madam Speaker, we have seen the properties they own. We have seen the things they own. And we are not saying that we don't want people to succeed. Success is what grows economies and what drives economic growth in countries. But it cannot be success by taking 30% of everything that they collect. Madam Speaker, we want to ensure that there's utmost honesty. If, as Kibaki said, kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea, if that becomes a civic responsibility, Madam Speaker, and I remember even during the BBI conversation, some people were saying that voting should be mandatory, so that even things like paying taxes is mandatory. If we are going to compel our people to pay taxes, they must see services, and the people collecting those taxes should not be seen to be skimming part of it. But the ultimate solution, because all these things you are talking about, graft, wastage, tax evasion, tax avoidance, we are still talking about the same size of the cake. We must bake a bigger cake. Madam Speaker, the next government that will come, and Madam Speaker, I'm praying that my party forms the next government, because my party has got a leader who is passionate about unlocking productivity in the economy. Madam Speaker, we cannot grow this economy, we cannot close our deficits, we cannot have money to repay our loans if we do not revitalize agriculture. And it is not revitalizing agriculture by giving people hoes and gumboots and wheelbarrows, Madam Speaker. It is giving them modern tools to ensure that their productivity is enhanced. We have enough examples. In South Korea, the Semalundong project, Madam Speaker, which was aimed at raising rural livelihoods, was a success. And we've got leaders who can benchmark with that. In China, the villagization, some of the villagization efforts in China succeeded. Yet, next door in Tanzania, they did not succeed because it was implemented in a poor political context. Madam Speaker, agriculture, if we can add value to it, agro-processing, if we can encourage our young boys and girls to go back to the villages, to go to the lake. Madam Speaker, I see parents doing everything that they can do to educate their children, and when these children graduate from the university, they again do everything they can do to take those children to towns. They are willing to sell land so that their children can get jobs in the army. Right now, there's recruitment going on in the army. All of us here, senators, are bombarded with requests from our constituents. Everyone wants their child to join the army, the police, prisons. Who wants their child to become a fisherman? Nobody. And yet, fishing industry was a source of wealth for so many rural households in China. And that is why today, China is the largest exporter of fish, the largest processor of fish, the largest producer of fish. Why? Because they incentivized young people to go into aquaculture, and young people made money, and so the thing took off. We must encourage our children that it is okay to go back to the lake. If you came back to the lake with modern techniques, with modern boats, not as a hunter and a gatherer, you go in as a farmer, you will succeed. Madam Speaker, look at dairy farming. And in this house, I'm very proud when I see some of my colleagues every day showing us what they are doing. Madam Speaker, the Senator for Narok, Senator Ledamo Lekina, he would have chosen the traditional Maasai way of raising cattle, making sure that he's got 1,000 heads of cattle that are walking in the dust and just roaming all over. But he decided to go hybrid. And when he goes hybrid, you get higher productivity. Can we encourage our Maasai sons that they can go to the university, they can go to Oxford and Harvard, and come back and become dairy farmers. And not dairy farmers by roaming around the plains of Kisaju, they can become dairy farmers by going into high-value, hybrid production of milk and beef. Madam Speaker, tourism in this country, such a beautiful country, whenever you go to the United States or the United Kingdom, you come back to Kenya and you feel relieved that you're back at home. Why can't we ensure that we go beyond the tourism of harassing tourists to buy bangles and shukas on our beaches? Manufacturing. And that is where, Madam Speaker, export-led manufacturing is what we must focus on. We must avoid the mistake that Nigeria, our brothers, are making of import substitution and closing borders to products so that they can produce internally. Yes, there must be a careful balance between protecting your local industries and ensuring that you've got a liberal market that can see to it that your goods are productive, your goods are competitive in local and international market. And Madam Speaker, I am glad that as a member of a political party, I have a political party leader who is running for president in 2022, who is passionate, who is knowledgeable, and who has told us time and time again that his focus will be to unlock the productivity of the economy so that we can bridge our budget deficits, so that we can have money to pay back our debts, and so that in future we do not subject future generations to misery, we do not subject them to bankruptcy, as Professor Kindiki had said. We can bequeath a country that is rich to successive generations. Madam Speaker, finally, in this report, the Auditor General must be allowed to audit Kenya's debt situation. The executive blocked the Auditor General from doing so in the Eurobond matter, and Madam Speaker, that was completely out of order. I do hope that the Auditor General will be given the independence and the strength and the power and the teeth to ensure that they give Parliament a report in a timely manner on the sustainability and the transparency of the debt that we have. And the Institute of Public Policy Research and Analysis, wherever they are, a constitutional body, if they have problems of funding, they should come to Parliament and tell us they have a problem. Because this is supposed to be the think tank. When the current government got rid of the National Economic and Social Council, then they killed Kipra. Who then is there to advise the government? It is unfortunate that sometimes the government is taking instructions and advice from bloggers and online contributors. Madam Speaker, we need to bring back these bodies. We need to strengthen Kipra. We need to strengthen the National Economic and Social Council. We need to bring technocrats into thinking. We don't just want Machiavellis running government, because as it is now, our ministers have become Machiavellis. They're just looking for the best way of outwitting those people that they don't like. Their focus should not be on competitive politics. Their focus should be on unlocking productivity. And Madam Speaker, that is the ultimate solution to the debt problem that we have in this country. Madam Speaker, even though I said that the recommendations are lazy, but this is a good starting point for a conversation in the Senate. I do hope within the 6 months that the committee has recommended, we are going to get a report back in the House. I support.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Haji Faria Ali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me opportunity to also contribute to this report. Madam Speaker, I just want to let you know that there has been a lot of effort also to bring down the commercial borrowings. Madam Speaker, the commercial, according to the data provided by Central Bank, the commercial debt in June 2019 was 36% of our external debt portfolio. Madam Speaker, by June 2020, that amount reduced to 31%. Madam Speaker, by June 2021, it reduced further to 28%. So, Madam Speaker, we need leadership who will take this forward to ensure that this, process continues and we continue replacing very expensive debt with cheaper ones. Madam Speaker, I also want to bring to your attention the fact that Kenyans always demand for development. And Madam Speaker, Our revenues also, like all Kenyans, they want to avoid paying taxes. If all Kenyans who are eligible to pay taxes, I think we would not even need to borrow for development. We'll have enough revenues to ensure that this country reaches the development that it desires. Not only should we all pay taxes, I think those people who are working in government institutions should also be responsible for whatever little resources they get, so that, you know, the total amount, there is value for money in whatever we do. So, you know, all these problems is brought by, in my view, corruption on the part of Kenyans, and corruption on part of the people who we gave responsibility to ensure that they take care of our property. Madam Speaker, let me even give you, our president has brought a lot of development, Madam Speaker. Let me give you a specific statistics. The tarmac roads in this country, up to June 2020, was 21,295 kilometers, you know, tarmac roads. And Madam Speaker, during His Excellency President Uhuru Muigai's tenure alone, this country has done 10,500 kilometers. Madam Speaker, that is almost 50% of what was done in the last almost 58 years. So, Madam Speaker, this debt clearly is doing some work, but like I said before, we also need to be responsible as citizens. If you are meant to pay taxes, please pay those taxes. Then we don't need to borrow. And Madam Speaker, they are also manufacturing some, you know, there has been some level of development in manufacturing during His Excellency's tenure. So I hope that the next president, we will have a president with integrity who will take that forward as well. Madam Speaker, also if you check, universal health care, there have been, you know, some, as you're aware, some pilot projects with some counties, and that work is also ongoing. And Madam Speaker, all this needs money. Madam Speaker, what Kenyans should understand is that any leader who has even a little bit of integrity in their thinking and in their fiber should be able to think about how. And then people would tell you, oh, you know, we are going to give money to youth. We are going to empower the youth. We are going to do this. We are going to do that. No amount of economic manifesto will deliver for Kenyans unless there is a strategy to, address corruption, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, I urge Kenyans, at whatever level you are, that when you are electing a leader, whether you are electing an MCA, because you need that MCA to ensure that they put the governor to task. If so that whatever projects that the governors implement are, value for money. If that MCA has no integrity, it has its own implication. What that will mean is that they will put some money, the governor will just bribe them, and they will pass whatever budget, regardless of whether it will address poverty, it will address a lot of issues that Kenyans are facing right now. That's MCA. Let's go to the next level, an MP. Madam Speaker, currently MPs control 140 million shillings. They control 140 million shillings a year. When you are electing that member of parliament, can you trust him with that money to ensure that we still will, by the end of his tenure, we will still not have people who are, in class under trees? How will you ensure that as a voter in this country?
Did I hear you right that MPs control only 140 million?
Million as CDF funds.
Per person?
Yes, per constituency.
Yeah.
Per year, yes. 140 million. So, Madam Speaker, if that money was used to good use, It can build a lot of schools. It can pay bursary fees for children who are unable to pay fees. It can do a lot of money. And when you are electing that that MP, as a member of the public who controls that, power to ensure that that person, the right person, comes to power, are you in control of that? Are you, the existing ones, the current MP, when they ask you to come and vote for them, will you ask them what they have done with that money that they were given? Okay, let's come to let's say, the governors. The same question. The governors also control a lot of resources. Senator Wetangula has been known to say, every year we elect 47 citizens of this country. But by the end of those 5 years, we have 47 millionaires. I don't think Kenyans, when they were voting for the constitution, to ensure that 47 millionaires leave, their offices. What they had in mind is that there will be more tarmac roads, of hunger and lack of water, but also even the wild animals are dying because of lack of water. What have they done? And then put them to task what they intend to accomplish. And then in your heart, do you feel that that person you want to elect as a governor, is it because he's your relative, he gave you a small amount of token to elect them, or are you sure that they will implement that manifesto that they told you to check? And the first measurement is their manifesto right in the first place? Are they addressing what is right? Madam Speaker, unless we ask as voters ourselves in those questions, then we'll never move forward. Madam Speaker, and what I want to urge Kenyans, these debts will only be sustainable if we elect a president who is going to ensure that all those works, let me tell you, roads, other major infrastructure, they take a lot of time for people to reap the fruits, for people to realize that those investments. Are we going to put another leader to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta, who will ensure that whatever project that he has done, that we know that in the long run they pay, are we going to elect a leader who is prudent to ensure that this debt is sustainable? Because at the end of the day, we are going to reap the fruits of whatever now our president has planted. So, Madam Speaker, the other thing is, I want to challenge Treasury. Now we are in the final year of the current government. Ensure that you pay debts of the Kenyans, the contractors and whoever, those who are legitimate contractors, those who have delivered, and ensure that they don't take a new project unless they complete the old one. Because it's only a completed project that can help Kenyans. So, Madam Speaker, I urge them to ensure that ensure all contracts are completed. Because if you pay pending bill, Madam Speaker, that improves in money circulation. Money circulation improves business, and business improves tax, because now the disposable income increases, and people are able to invest, and as a result of that, there'll be more projects that can produce income, that can produce more taxes, and even the current profit that you make, the Kenyan can, it can be taxed so that you earn more money. Madam Speaker, the other reason why I support this report is that it has great recommendation, Madam Speaker. Listen to this one. Madam Speaker, this statement is as much as there are 4 recommendations. One of them has almost, has almost 5, 6, 7 recommendations, and they are detailed, and these things will enhance, debt sustenance and how efficient we become. So, One of them is to ensure that best practices are applied in project appraisal. That means proper feasibility study is done so that projects that we say, if we finish this, highway from, from Mlolongo to Westlands, how much fuel will it save? How much spare parts will it save for this? That money will be used for other things. So that takes time, but it is an income that we anticipate. So whatever money that we invest, we should do a proper feasibility study so that there is good value for money. Madam Speaker, and then it recommends that the National Treasury should publish every 3 months comprehensive debt servicing expenditure. Madam Speaker, that helps people to see what we are investing in, and then it brings more transparency, and then in case of divergence, Kenyans can question. Madam Speaker, the report also recommends that National Treasury should desist from undertaking projects or entering into a loan agreement that lead to payment of commitment fees, which then means we save more money now to pay debt or to implement into more projects. Madam Speaker, because of Article 110, if I'm not wrong, the one that stops us from discussing money bills, this committee has recommended that the National Assembly Committee of Finance and Senate Committee of Finance should, because the Senate Committee of Finance has a lot of ideas, but because of money implications, we cannot continue with that. With those good ideas that we have. So if we come together, then we give them our great ideas, and because they have the powers, they can now bring good legislation that now helps in terms of moving forward. And then our committee also has recommended to audit, Office of the Auditor General to do an audit of what has been invested. Because, sometimes we say, oh, money has not been spent wisely, this, that. But I think if a proper audit and value for money audit is done, I think Kenyans will understand more what has happened. And then also that the committee has also recommended, because we have a constrained, physical space, we should ensure that now we prioritize projects that have a greater impact. So, Madam Speaker, this report has very, very good recommendations, and if they are followed and implemented, I think we'll have a greater impact in terms of how we manage our debt and in terms of ensuring that the future investments are done very well. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Faria. Finally, Senator Olekina Ledama.
Madam Speaker, I rise to support this report by the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. Madam Speaker, the report is good because it allows us to be able to examine further what it is that we are doing wrong. Madam Speaker, Winston Churchill once said, and I'll summarize it, that you can never tax a country to posterity. The more you tax that country, in fact, if I read the quote, and you'll allow me to read, is that he contend that for a nation to try and tax itself into prosperity is like a man standing in a bucket and trying to lift himself up by the handle. Madam Speaker, what has been happening in this country is that, and it was clearly demonstrated through the submissions of the Commission of Revenue Allocation to the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget, that this Parliament is the one that deals with the budgetary allocation. We are the ones who have been failing in our job, because when you look at the observations by the committee observed that there's a lot of money that we've borrowed that we've not even been able to disperse that money to be able to pay what we borrowed to finance. This is what is leading to more taxation, because whether or not you disperse the money that you've borrowed, or you keep it in a bank, you will still are required to service that loan. Madam Speaker, when I look at the executive summary of the report, this one thing really bothers me. The first point, it talks about, of course, having a law that protects and stipulates how Treasury should be able to borrow. But when I hear that as of June 2021, the Kenyan stock debt amounted to 7.71 trillion, and then further, that there is an additional undisbursed loans commitment amounting to 1.31 trillion shillings. This brings it a whole total of about 9.02 trillion shillings debt. We have 1.1 trillion that we've not been able to disperse. Why are we trying to live outside our means, Madam Speaker? We should always try, and this House should always try to advise Treasury to borrow within our means. Because the more we borrow money and we just keep it in a bank somewhere, that lender will not wait for you and say, we'll keep this money, we'll not charge you interest. They will start charging you interest the moment you borrow that money. Madam Speaker, the recommendation, just like Senator Kajwang has said, are very shallow. What I expected to see, although I support the committee report, I expected the committee to be firm in terms of their recommendation. When I read that the National Treasury should submit within 6 months a legislative proposal setting out the appropriate fiscal consolidation measures required to reduce the public debt stock to sustained levels over the medium term. Madam Speaker, the question that immediately comes to mind is, why do we have the PFM Act that clearly stipulates on how we should borrow? I think the committee ought to have been very clear and say, Treasury, be honest. In all your dealings, in all your borrowing, be honest. The second recommendation, Madam Speaker, that the National Treasury should within 6 months operationalize the IMF debt management module. IMF, Madam Speaker, recommends that all developing countries should have at a maximum a 40% debt, percent on their GDP. Right now, as we speak, and as we've been told over and over, we are currently operating on 69%. Madam Speaker, there's nothing which will change. And in 2026, Madam Speaker, it is projected that the amount of debt to GDP on this country will be about 126%. We will be dancing with about 14 to 15 trillion. That is about 140 billion US dollars. Madam Speaker, the moment we start dancing there, we'll be behaving as if we are a developed nation. And I'm not saying that debt is bad. Debt is very good. A lot of countries have been able to prosper. If you compare with a country like Japan, which the debt to GDP ratio is 235%, that country is doing well. But the difference between that country and this country of ours called Kenya is that in that country, if you are found to have stolen money, you will end up going either to jail for life or you'll end up actually be sentenced to death. Those are the disciplines that we do not have in this country. So, Madam Speaker, what I expected this committee to come out clearly and say is that Treasury, you cannot borrow if you cannot be able to demonstrate how you're going to pay. Taxing people so that you can be able to show the West that you are in a position to be able to service your loan will not help this country. Madam Speaker, a few years ago, farmers were able to import, these appliances. What do you call them? Machineries. What are they called? Farm implements. They were able to import farm implements without paying any taxes. Now, they have to pay taxes on them. When you go to CMC Motors and you buy a tractor, you're not only paying VAT, but you will also pay more taxes on the farm implements. Then how do you expect to be able to help develop this nation when you are taxing even the small little farmer? I think 4 days ago or 3 days ago, the president alluded to the fact that we have over 19 million Kenyan registered to vote, but only 6 million pay taxes? Why is it that we are quick to vote and we are quick to go out and dance in the streets and say that we are going to bring in change, yet we are not quick to be able to evaluate, analyze the existing taxes that will help us increase more a tax-based society? I think what the president was telling us is that as we are going out there drumming support for whoever candidate you want to be your president next year, the first thing which should come to mind is that the leadership that has to be, the executive, must be one which is honest. Because I've been very candid in my submission, Madam Speaker, that we are so corrupt. In fact, in the executive, it's a leading in terms of corruption. Recently, Madam Speaker, I saw that now the DPP has also requested, again, and he has been granted, to consolidate all those cases on the Arrow and Cameron Dam for them to be tried afresh. Whenever we lose money, we don't really take it seriously as something which will affect us. Madam Speaker, the fact that we are borrowing so much to be able to build more infrastructure in this country, more roads in this country, and the fact that the money we borrow, we end up over-borrowing because what we borrow and budget to be able to build those roads disappears midways, will end up making it difficult for even future generations to be able to survive and enjoy living in a country. Right now, Madam Speaker, some of us, although we want to have as many children as possible, but when you talk to your colleagues, they say, boss, currently I owe like almost 120,000 shillings. And any child who is born in this country owes the international community, IMF, these commercial loans. The debt is almost about 150,000 Kenya shillings, even before a child is born. So, Madam Speaker, what I expected this committee to have done is to be able to come up with very aggressive recommendations that will teach us to live within our means. Because if we continue borrowing and any money which we're collecting from taxes, that money will just go to service the debt. Our county governments, which we represent here, will not get their shareable revenue. Madam Speaker, this overborrowing, and I have to confess that the last time when we had the debate here to increase the debt ceiling of this country to 9 trillion, I supported it because I was promised that we are actually increasing the debt ceiling so that we can be able to do away with these commercial loans, which are very expensive, and increase more on these concessional loans, which would be able to have a long-term maturity date to allow this country to be able to catch up. But that is not what is happening right now, Madam Speaker. What is happening is that Treasury came here, gave us one story, but continued borrowing money from commercial banks. Madam Speaker, if you take the books of Kenya Power and Lighting Company, you'll be shocked. They owe so much money in dollars borrowed from 2 commercial banks in this country. One is Equity Bank, and I think the other one is, I believe is Standard Chartered Bank. But I stand corrected there. The fact that we are not controlling, the fact that we in this House are now passing the blame to, or rather the mantle to Treasury and asking them to come up with a legislative proposal so that we can be able to define or, appropriate fiscal consolidations measures, and passing it instead of us doing it really leaves a lot to be desired. Because it is us, Madam Speaker, who should be coming up with proper legislations. We should not expect the person who is executing or implementing to be able to come up with a proposal. They will design something which will better them. It is us who are tasked with the mandate to oversight who should be coming up with a serious amendments to the PFM Act that restrict the borrowing, that ensure that we, first of all, realign our existing resources. Whenever, Madam Speaker, I hear candidates for president seeking a mandate from us, the electorates, because we are not presidents, but they're there. They talk about, like the current administration spoke about the Big Four agenda. One, manufacturing sector. How do you then turn back and overtax that manufacturing sector? Impose taxes such that when you're importing anything into this country, you end up paying triple the amount it costs for you to be able to buy that equipment. How do you then end up building that manufacturing sector? If you talk about, the other one is what? Housing. When you tax the raw materials, cement, the cost of bag for cement, Madam Speaker, depending on what you're constructing, goes between 550 shillings to about 1,000 shillings a bag, depending on what you're using. If you tax the raw materials, how then do you expect to be able to build that the housing sector? I think, Madam Speaker, we need to now seriously think and realign our existing resources so that we can be able to live within our means. Madam Speaker, if you look at county governments, a lot of people have been reduced to beggars when they attempted to work with county governments to do businesses with them. A lot of Kenyans today do not want to work with county governments because, one, county government give them tenders. When it comes to payment, county government relies on the exchequer to release their shareable revenue, which the Constitution clearly states that it should not be delayed. But then how then do you expect the exchequer to release money that they do not have? So you're putting them between a rock and a hard place. You want them to develop. You want them to continue collecting taxes. They overtax Kenyans, such that even now for businesses to be able to operate, any international community or any international businessman thinking of setting up base in Kenya, the first thing they look at, they ask you and say, we want to understand the tax system. Because we cannot be in a society or in a country where we want to develop and then continue. We pay more taxes than our profit. Madam Speaker, I hope that this committee on finance and budget will really be able to scrutinize and define and maybe bring in amendments to the PFM Act so that in future we don't have a situation where by either the courts or the executive stops the Auditor General from performing their tasks. When I read here that one of the recommendations is that within 28 days, the National Treasury should provide a status report on the restructuring of the public debt stock, as indicated during the review of the debt ceiling in October 2019. We are now asking Treasury to give us a status update. It is the Auditor General who should be coming up and saying, I have audited. We should have a third party giving us the status, because you cannot expect a body which wants to continue borrowing and continue increasing the debt of the country to give you a proper, honest status report. As I conclude, Madam Speaker, let me reiterate by saying debt is not bad, but it should be manageable. I think what we need to see going forward is that any decision we make in this country, in the three arms of government, should be to protect the future generation. I hope that whoever takes in as a leader of this country in 2022, and I hope to be my party leader, can be able to think twice and carry out a proper, honest audit. There are countries, Madam Speaker, when you hear or when you go to those countries, most citizens, they will tell you that the police are paid more money, politicians are paid more money, because they do not want to give them any rooms for corruption. But in this country, Madam Speaker, our police, we bleed them to death. We don't care about them, yet you still expect them to avoid corruption deals. Madam Speaker, we are a rotten society. And the fact that Treasury is trying to survive by increasing the debt, the only way we can be able to help them is by us being honest. we are not an honest society. We are a society where the leaders are the ones who are leading by examples of corruption. You know, anytime you put in a tender, if it is to construct a 1 kilometer road, a bitumen 1 kilometer road, instead of being so economical, you triple it. And even after tripling, Madam Speaker, you never complete that job, so that you can continue grabbing and oiling your own pockets and ensuring that your family lives well. We must be our brother's keepers, Madam Speaker. What is happening right now in the entire 47 counties, it's actually very sad. There is no money in circulation. Yet, we're being told that in 2026, the debt to GDP of this country will be around 126%. This is the current position of a country like Portugal or Italy, which is 156%, but it's a country that can be able to service its debt. You know, we don't want a situation whereby those Western countries will still continue controlling us. The moment we allow the West to continue controlling even how we live is the moment we continue digging our grave further. Yesterday, Madam Speaker, I was saddened when I was watching the summit, what do you call it? The environmental summit, where the COP26, thank you for reminding me. And in this country, when you talk about ending deforestation, some people say you are killing their businesses. And then they would go into the executive and they'll get licenses to continue cutting our forests, you know, increasing the carbon emission into this country instead of us doing it. I was also saddened that we in this country, who are constantly on a drought situation, were not fully represented. Although the president was there, but I did not see a lot of environmentalists being represented there, people who will be able to actually implement that change. So, Madam Speaker, I hope that this committee will follow up. And this is the problem of not having an implementation committee. Because we come up with very good recommendations. No wonder we call them shallow ourselves. Come up with very good recommendation that within 28 days, the National Treasury should provide us with a status report. We come up with another one that says the Office of the Auditor General should undertake a special audit on the utilization of all commercial loans in Kenya to ascertain adherence in Section 152 of the PFM Act and submit the report to Parliament. Who is going to follow that up? I think we should come up with a matrix and ensure that all of us, elected and special elect senators, can follow through that, so that the money which is supposed to be sent to Narok County is not delayed because the Exchequer has not been able to raise enough taxes, or the Exchequer has sent all the money to pay debts. So, cleverly, every 23rd of the month, they just close the IFMI system. They say the system is overloaded. So, Madam Speaker, I support.
Thank you, Senator. We wish to thank all the senators who have contributed to this bill, and I would like now to give the opportunity to the mover to reply. Senator Faria.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Madam Speaker, I beg to reply and thank all senators who have contributed to this motion. Madam Speaker, the other issue that I wanted to bring to your attention is the fact that, you know, sometimes even the contracts that we do, there are no proper exit clause. In case of poor performance, to exit that contract becomes a problem. So, Madam Speaker, when these people are even engaging in a loan in terms of, you know, the terms should be favorable to this country. Those who are negotiating the loans should be patriotic enough to ensure that our interests are properly taken care of. And even those who are implementing, when they are implementing a project, because I know like the road from Modogashe to Wajir has stalled for many years because of unclear, you know, circumstances. some contractor took the government to court, and it took a very long time before that was sorted. And you know, time is money, and it's very expensive to just keep a project that ought to have, started delaying because the contractor can't perform, and the procedure for exiting has not properly been done, and that brings a lot of issues. Madam Speaker, I beg to reply and thank all the senators who have contributed. Thank you very much.
Honorable Senators, I now put the question. Since this matter or this motion does not concern counties, I now put the question. That the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the status of Kenya's stock of public debt laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, 14th October, 2021. May as many as are of the opinion say aye. Aye. And those of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 12, the Heritage and Museums Bill, Senate Bills number 22 of 2021, second reading.
Senator Shararge, you had a balance of 14 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. As I was continuing with the seconding of the bill, of the Heritage and Museum Bill 2021, I want to ask my colleagues that I will not take more than 10 minutes just to wrap up what I was saying so that they can have opportunity of contributing. Madam Speaker, what is important in this bill is a realignment for participation of county government, especially on issues of museums and heritage. Madam Speaker, at the closing of my previous remarks, I did indicate that in Nandi, we have special places of heritage and museums like Koitalel Samoe Museum that we are having now at the moment, and thanks to President Kibaki's government. He was one of the instrumental that ensured that in Nandi Hills town, we have Koitalel Samoe Museum. And it is also in honor, Madam Speaker, during the first term of Jubilee, they did give a charter to Koitalel Samoe University, which is a recognition for the Nandi leader who led the Nandi resistance, Madam Speaker, against the British colonialism in Nandi County. And I know there are many, Mekatili Mamenza and many other leaders who stood and fought against colonialism. And county governments now, Madam Speaker, have an opportunity to participate in ensuring that they collect and document. I think, Madam Speaker, I saw some countries in West Africa were receiving back some of the artifacts that had been taken during British domination and invasion in Africa. We also, in Nandi, for example, we were able to get some of the artifacts of Koitalel Samoe University being brought back. Koitalel Samoe, the leader of the Nandi, or the Orgayat, as is known, were able to be brought back. I know there are many of our leaders who fought against colonial rule, and most of the artifacts were taken to London or any other part, or Europe or any other part of the world. So it is important that Madam Speaker, culture is dynamic. All of us, we grow old. How do we document? How do we ensure we pass from one generation to another, Madam Speaker? And I think the county governments must be able to document, must be able to collect, must be able to create a special place, even creation of museums that are being run by county governments. And the silver lining on this argument, Madam Speaker, is that it will allow county governments to also generate their own revenue. Because if, for example, a museum in Nandi, where I come from, there is a place when you are old enough, in my culture, There are people who have grown old until they ask, why has God forgotten us? So there is a place called Shau, just near your county, Madam Speaker, where old people used to take themselves. They were very old and they imagined God had forgotten about them. So they go and throw themselves and they die. It's called Shau. So for example, if county government of Nandi, in future, when some of us are in leadership, can establish as a museum, we'll be able to generate revenue just similar to any other county, including your Kisumu County, Madam Speaker. So it is, and also it will also preserve our culture. You remember now, Madam Speaker, with the globalization that is happening, most of our children are either born in the cities, born abroad. What happens when they want to identify themselves with where they come from? Are they able to go today to Kisumu and maybe associate themselves with what the Luo traditions, the people of Kisumu and other areas? If you are coming from Masai, like Narok, they want to learn. Maybe these are the children who are born abroad and they want to identify with their culture. They were born to Masai parents, but they were born abroad and they want to identify themselves. So these are things, and in fact, Madam Speaker, we should even see how we can inculcate. I know it's already there, even in the syllabus that we teach in our schools, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, very important is the issue of management, and I think this is a cross-cutting issue that we want to ask the Cabinet Secretary in charge, of course, responsible, and also National Museums Board, and also to Gazette. Madam Speaker, you remember we need to Gazette also these places that we need to preserve. You know, Kenya, with the disease called crabiosis, if you are not careful, there are people who are not fearful to grab even ungrabbable. So we need also to preserve, we need to Gazette and ensure that we don't allow, Madam Speaker, across the country, there are places which are sacred forests, sacred places that does not need interference. So the only way to protect is to Gazette them and ensure we preserve such, and the management, of course, Cabinet Secretary, county government, the National Museum Board, Madam Speaker, and I think it is important. Madam Speaker, a very important thing that I want to mention on issue of exploration and discovery. Madam Speaker, some of us watch Nat Geo, National Geography. When you watch, there are so many documentaries. We need also to pattern some of those documentations that we're having as a country. If the county government has documented, we have gazetted a place, by the time National Geography comes and film maybe the life and times of Samburu people as a culture, when they want to document maybe something in Kisumu, how do we ensure we avoid exploitation? It means that we must ensure when there is exploration and discovery of such issues, of even visiting forests like Kakamega Forest, Kakamega Forest has a special unique form of a butterfly. Apart from it, how do we pattern so that in terms of exploitation and discovery, Madam Speaker, we are able to give compensation to communities, Madam Speaker. Even when you go to Brazil, a place called Amazon, there are communities that, under UNESCO, they have been, I don't want to say isolated, they have been protected from access or what do we call modernization, because there is a special reason as to why when you go to Amazon, you are not supposed to bring up with modernization within that area. And these are indigenous communities. So when there is exploration and discovery of such, when National Geography, among other people who do documentaries, want to visit Amazon, they must be given permission, they must pay, they must compensate the community before airing such films and such documentaries, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, a very important point is, of course, protected areas. Many people know only protected areas are maybe government buildings, state house, or government offices. I think it is also important that protected areas are ensuring. Madam Speaker, what this bill has done, and I want to thank the mover, Senator Dr. Alice Milgo, is that what it has done is has ensured compensation, because sometimes maybe you want to preserve a place and the owners of land are there. In Kenya, we have private land and communal land. How do you ensure that the communal land, the compensation is there, and of course, you can ensure the community are able to have an opportunity. Madam Speaker, there is the issue of monuments, and of course, we have agreed that this bill also will assist many communities who the artifacts were taken to Europe or London and be able to repatriate it to Kenya and be able to associate. I'm happy some of the Western African countries are doing very well. They have gone back and brought their artifacts so that we can still have an association with the past, Madam Speaker. And of course, the issues of antiquities, the uniqueness, Madam Speaker, I think Kenya more so is associated with Maasai because of the special artifacts and many others that we do. Madam Speaker, on the issue of exports now, there is a proper way of doing it, and therefore it is very important. Then, Madam Speaker, the powers of enforcement to ensure compliance, and I think National Museums of Kenya, Cabinet Secretary, county governments should be forefront to ensure there is enforcement. And we have ensured that this National Museums Board participates for inspection and, of course, National Heritage Inspectors for the purpose of enforcing the Act. Madam Speaker, we need inspectors. We need to ensure we comply with the standards. And I think National Museums of Kenya, Madam Speaker, will ensure we put into place necessary and ensure we protect, because, Madam Speaker, as I indicated, this can be a source of revenue to national government, to county government. And I remember when we were young, Madam Speaker, we used to travel all the way to Kisumu to go to the museum that were managed, Museum of Kenya, and be able to pay. We used to pay 20 shillings. I think nowadays around 150 shillings, 200 shillings, and I think this is a generation of revenue that can be given to either county governments or national government. And you remember, many young people nowadays, Madam Speaker, during the weekends, they do road trips. And therefore, if we manage our national museums, the heritage, Madam Speaker, we'll be able to divorce the young people from thinking that the only way to enjoy life is to go to the club, take alcohol, take drugs. But if we make these areas attractive, they can, instead of going to drink themselves and are able to do things that might find it immoral within the society. If we make, for example, Masai Mara attractive to young people, if we make museums of Kenya attractive to the young people, if we open the many heritage areas, Madam Speaker, young people should be able not to go to only take drugs and many others, yet they can be able to enjoy themselves and have fun. Madam Speaker, the Heritage Tribunal, of course, and complaints, if there is, so for example, today, Madam Speaker, as I conclude, if, for example, a community or individuals are complaining against the heritage, against what have you, what happens, Madam Speaker, in such situations? So, if somebody, for example, is uncomfortable with a museum, for example, or an heritage setting aside, Madam Speaker, the Heritage Tribunal will now be able to hear, and it will have the status of the High Court, and therefore it will ensure that there is a proper procedure of ensuring that, Madam Speaker, that we go. So I want to, in conclusion, to ask my colleagues who are in the chamber to support this bill. This is a very important bill, and it will mark as one of the trade makers and a salient feature of the history of this session of Senate. And I hope my brother, Senator Enoch Wambua, who is eyeing the Kitui gubernatorial seat, should be able into position to implement this National Heritage and Museum Bill, because we are giving prominence to the county governments, Madam Speaker, and Senator Enoch Wambua should be able to be among the first counties to implement this bill. And I know my colleagues in the National Assembly, my colleagues in here should be able to pass. I know for people, the biggest beneficiaries, Madam Speaker, in conclusion, is, Maasais, and Senator Ledamo Lekina is here. Maasais have faced a lot of modernization and a threat to their national heritage. And most of their things, artifacts that are renowned worldwide is because of Maasai across the country and across the globe. So I hope this bill will be able to assist people from the Maasai, which is the pride, and Kenya is known because of the Maasai. Of course, apart from the sports, and at least they are known for that. So I want to ask my colleagues, let us support this bill. This is one of the bills that we are making sure, Madam Speaker, it makes sure that devolution works for all of us. So finally, I want to thank Senator Dr. Agnes Milko. I think apart from being chair of education, she has really done a tremendous job.
Senator Milko.
No, sorry, Dr. Alice Milko, sorry, I mixed up. I want to commend Senator Dr. Alice Milko from Bomet for this tremendous work. I know, apart from being our able chair of education, I think this is what we really need. This is the touch we need. And it is a calling that women, when they decide to do something, when they decide to come to leadership, Madam Speaker, they can do it from all fronts. And this is the women we want to celebrate. We want to see women doing these things so that this country can believe in the leadership of women. We want to ensure that, and I hope the people who are supposed to award to be awarding awards, and I want to congratulate you, Madam Speaker. I saw you the other day. You are doing very well. You are now, Kenyans should understand women can lead. Women can be part of the leadership, positive leadership that we need. Because sometimes when you have a woman's touch in some of the process, things are never the same. Unfortunately or fortunately, Senator Enoch Wambua wants to reduce the other day. I thank you, Madam Speaker, and I second.
What's your point of order, Senator Wambua? Senator Wambua.
Madam Speaker, the senator for Nandi cannot get away with this. The senator of Kitui believes in women leadership, strongly in women leadership. But the senator of Kitui is also very, very keen on fighting corruption wherever it rears its ugly head. Whether that corruption is being perpetuated by a female leader or a male leader. For me, I make no distinction. So, Madam Speaker, it must be on record that the senator of Kitui is a firm believer in women leadership, but more so a firm believer in integrity in leadership. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Honorable Senators, I now put the question. I propose the question that the Heritage and Museums Bill, Senate Bills number 22 of 2021 be now read a second time. Honorable Senators, I don't see interest for now, and I will not put the question. I will defer it to the next time it is listed. Senator, you can put a request so that we defer the putting of the question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Pursuant to Standing Order 613, I request that we do not put the question today, but we divide to a later date. Thank you.
Yeah, Honorable Senators, I will defer the putting of the question to a later date. Next order.
Order number 13, the County Oversight and Accountability Bill, Senate Bills number 2021, second reading.
Senator Lekina.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the County Oversight and Accountability Bill, Senate Bill number 17 of 2021, be read a second time. Madam Speaker, I already moved this bill. This is among the bills that suffered the sibling rivalry between the National Assembly and the Senate. And just in summary, so that I can be able to request my brother, Senator Wambua, to be able to second this bill. The principal objective of this bill is to provide a framework of effective oversight and actually give effect to Article 96 of the Constitution. Madam Speaker, we have been deliberating in this House for over the last two, actually, Senates on the oversight role of this Senate. Madam Speaker, the county governors are always out there fighting the Senate in terms of oversight and accountability. This bill will cure all that. Madam Speaker, this bill is also designed in a way that it will encourage citizens' participation in terms of the budget-making process. Madam Speaker, earlier on we were talking about the issue of the debt being so high in this country, where Treasury is doing everything and the citizens don't know, but the citizens are the ones who end up paying. Madam Speaker, this bill will be able to bring in the citizens to the table for them to be able to discuss how they want the little shareable revenue that they are given to be able to be spent in all counties. Madam Speaker, in our county, this year we managed to send about 8.8 billion shillings. The MCAs are subjected to developing the budget, but in most cases, citizens in all the different wards have no clue of what their MCAs are developing. So when we pass this bill, and I hope that we can look at the Hansard of our submissions, and this bill was supported by so many of our colleagues here, we can be able to see the importance and to highlight on the points which were raised by each and every senator on the importance of a town hall meeting when it comes to the issue of the budget-making process. So, Madam Speaker, without deliberating more on this bill, I will seek to request to move and request Senator Wambua to second.
Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to, from the onset, congratulate and thank the Senator for Narok for coming up with this bill. Madam Speaker, you know, for so long a time, the battle between the Senate and county governors on issues of accountability and oversight has been a really entrenched battle. And this bill, to the extent that it seeks to address those issues of accountability, issues of oversight, issues of proper participation of the masses in the budget-making process, Madam Speaker, to the extent that it demands accountability on the part of the governors on the usage of the monies that we send to the counties, Madam Speaker, I beg to support. I thank you.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question. The County Oversight and Accountability Bill, Senate Bills number 17 of 2021, be now read a second time. Senator, can you approach the chair? Honorable Senators, I don't see any interest on this debate, and I would like to ask Senator Olekina to request for deferment of the putting of the question.
Madam Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 61.3, I request the putting of the question to be deferred to a later date.
Honorable Senators, we are going to defer the putting of that question to the next time the bill is listed for debate. Okay. Honorable Senators, it is now 6:30 p.m. Time to adjourn the House. The House therefore stands adjourned until Wednesday, 3rd November 2021 at 2:30 p.m.